At school, Kodaka was always mistaken for a delinquent. Even when he was just reading in the library, other students were too scared to come near him. They assumed he would beat them up if they got too close. As usual, once class was over, Kodaka headed to the neighbor's club room. When he opened the door, he saw Sana wearing a bald wig. Kodaka quickly shut the door and said he had walked into the wrong room. Sana ran after him and asked what he thought of her new look. She seemed confused and asked why he did not laugh. She reminded him that the day before, they had talked about how making people laugh could help them make friends. That was why she wore the bald wig. According to the label at the toy store, the wig was supposed to make people laugh uncontrollably. Suddenly, Yozora walked in wearing a wig and dressed up like Sana. She said Sana had never managed to make anyone laugh. Kodaka was puzzled by Yozora's appearance. Yozora said she was dressed as a ridiculous creature from Earth and asked if it was enough to make him laugh. Kodaka just stayed silent. Then Yozora wrote the word meat on her forehead and mocked Sana's voice, saying she was a rich and beautiful girl. Sana said that was not how she talked, and she did not understand what about her was supposed to be funny. Instead of being amusing, it was actually pretty irritating. Yozora replied that seeing Sana irritated like that made her feel happy. Kodaka asked if Yozora was not embarrassed to look like that. Yozora and Sana both turned to look in the mirror. Kodaka commented that a real comedian would never rely on something that lame. Yozora then challenged him to show what a real comedy act looked like. According to Kodaka, a true comedian came up with original stories, so he started telling one called "I Am Scared of Manju Cakes." Unfortunately, once he finished, everyone just called the story boring. Rika joined them in the club room and said that funny people could easily become popular. As usual, Yukimura served tea, hoping to hear a funny story from Kodaka. But Sana and Yozora both advised her not to expect too much. Kodaka insisted his story was still better than Sana and Yozora's wig stunt. Yozora mentioned hearing about a hairstyle that was trending lately, the teased look where hair is combed upwards and then decorated. Sana got interested right away. Rika added that according to the internet, that style gave off a European noble vibe or something along those lines. Sana thought it would probably suit her well. Rika even said that there were people so grand they shaped their hair into bird nests so birds could live in them, or even molded their hair into love letters. Sana was surprised and asked if that kind of thing only happened in the samurai era. Rika explained that it was just a way of expressing oneself, similar in concept to how samurai helmets were made. Yukimura asked if that meant T's hair was like a samurai helmet, something that showed identity if their head got cut off, so they would be respected, honored, and remembered like true samurai. Kodaka did not think it worked that way. Sana started feeling something was off, and Yozora seemed to agree. She said it would be hard for a group of people to style their hair that way, so it would be pointless for commoners to try it. According to Yozora, regular people would just stick to basic hairstyles used by lower social classes. She says she hoped to see the T's style in person someday. Rika said it was extremely rare to find someone who was born with a natural noble aura and a personality charming enough to pull off the T's look. Kodaka realized that Yozora and Rika were clearly trying to bait Sana, and it worked. Sana took the bait. She insisted that such a person did exist, and that she was the only one who truly pulled off a hairstyle like that. Yozora told her not to force it, especially since T's hair was notoriously hard to work with. Sana said she was not trying to force anything. She believed that no matter how complicated the hairstyle might be, nothing could outshine her divine aura. Kodaka could not understand why that particular fish always bit the bait so easily. Yozora said that if Sana really was forcing things, then she and Rika would immediately start backcombing her hair. Sana got ready to have her hairstyle changed by Yozora and Rika. Before they started, she asked them not to do anything weird. Yozora began brushing Sana's hair. Sana admitted that it felt kind of nice having another girl brush her hair. Rika commented that Sana's hair was smooth and soft and even the ends were not split. Just for that day, Yozora complimented Sana's hair. Sana responded by saying that Yozora's hair was beautiful too, and she added that Rika's hair was shiny and also pretty. Yozora then asked if Sana had any requests before they started teasing her hair. Sana asked for a hairstyle that popular girls would wear. Yozora started thinking about what was trendy and said, summer. Rika suggested adding elements that represented what people liked the most during summer, like incorporating beach waves with curly hair. Yozora agreed and even wanted to add a swirling water accent using rolled sausages. Rika wanted to give it a summer storm vibe by adding a few waves to the overall look. Rika then asked Sana what she thought about the idea, and Sana said it was not bad. Yozora suggested making a hill with a beach on top of it. Things got even more ridiculous when Rika proposed replacing the hair ribbons with a bikini, and Yozora went further by wanting to add watermelon and fireworks. Sana was shocked when she realized they seriously wanted to include a watermelon, a bikini, and even yakisoba in her hair. She started to panic, but Yozora and Rika told her to stay still. Yukimura quickly went to get the watermelon, the bikini, and the yakisoba. At that point, Sana turned to Kodaka for help, but he completely ignored her. Meanwhile, Maria was outside playing in the yard. When someone called out to her, she immediately started doing her assigned task of mowing the grass. When she looked up, she saw that it was Yukimura approaching. Yukimura asked what Maria was doing. Maria said she was cleaning the yard as a punishment for slacking off earlier. Yukimura was there because Sana had asked her to get something. Maria assumed it was probably something related to summer. She handed over a few bugs she had managed to catch. Back in the club room, Yozora and Rika finally finished creating a new hairstyle for Sana. Yozora called her the fiercely backcombed Storm Queen, the most popular girl in A Midsummer Night's Dream. The hairstyle was so outrageous that it even felt heavy on her head. Kodaka thought the two of them were being way too cruel. Yozora and Rika insisted that the hairstyle looked great and made Sana seem elegant. Sana asked if it really suited her. Yukimura said it definitely did. It was not only elegant, but also deeply moving. Yozora even admitted to feeling jealous and said she should have backcombed it herself before cutting her own hair. Sana then asked Kodaka what he thought. Kodaka told her the hairstyle really suited her. The next day, Sana told Kodaka that her father had been furious with her and ended up spanking her before undoing the hairstyle. Later on, when they were in the club room, Rika and Yozora apologized to Sana for going too far. Sana was still upset and stormed off. Yozora felt like the club activities were not going very well. While at the library, Kodaka received a message from Sana asking why he was not in the club room. Kodaka replied and told her that he was studying for the exams. Sana told Kodaka to head to the club room right away because only she and Yukimura were there. Just as Kodaka was about to go, Sana said he did not need to come after all, since Kobato had already arrived. Not long after, Kobato called him and asked for help. Sana could be heard chasing Kobato around. The commotion was loud enough that people nearby started to think it was a kidnapping. That night, while Kodaka was studying, Sana messaged him to ask whether he was confident about the upcoming exam. She then invited him to come study at her house. Kodaka agreed, especially since Sana had the highest grades in their year. The next day, he told Kobato that he would be going to Sana's house that afternoon to study for the exams and asked if she wanted to come along. Kobato was shocked and told him not to worry about her. She said Sana was scary. When Kodaka arrived at Sana's house, he was surprised to see her father, Pegasus, already waiting for him at the gate. Sana came out to greet him and Pegasus politely let them go study. Sana then asked if her father had finished talking to him. Apparently, Pegasus asked about Kodaka every day, which made Sana think her father wanted to have a proper conversation with him. Pegasus claimed he was simply doing his duty by keeping an eye on Kodaka. Kodaka, however, could not understand the way Pegasus thought. Sana brought Kodaka to her room to study. As soon as they got there, Kodaka was shocked to see the ceiling completely covered with photos of Yozora's face. Sana had secretly taken all the photos herself using a digital camera while Yozora was off guard. Kodaka thought she looked like a creepy stalker and asked why she would do something like that. Sana even showed him the wig Yozora had worn back then. She said that when someone holds a grudge, they have to endure it. Kodaka suddenly remembered a story about someone who slept on a tree branch or licked a gallbladder every day, just to keep their anger alive until they could get revenge. Sana said maybe she was kind of like that. She admitted to staring at Yozora's photo every night, smelling the wig she had worn and remembering what Yozora did to her to fuel her drive for revenge. Sana made it clear that she would definitely get back at her. Kodaka had not expected Sana to be this intense. She was far scarier than he had imagined. While they were studying, Kodaka accidentally glanced at Sana's chest. He asked her how to answer one of the questions, but he could not concentrate because of the distraction. Sana called him stupid for not being able to solve it, which made him decide to try answering it on his own. Not long after, Stella came in and brought them some snacks. She greeted Kodaka, asked how things were going, and then handed him a condom. Kodaka was stunned. After Stella left the room, Sana asked what she had given him. Kodaka did not say, and Sana tried to snatch it from him. In the process, he accidentally caught a glimpse of her cleavage, which Sana immediately noticed and was not happy about. Sana admitted that she felt too lazy to continue studying and ended up asking Kodaka to hang out instead. She invited him to play Iron Necromancer, a game she had just bought. She knew that Kobato really liked the anime version, and although she had already purchased the full set of Blu-ray discs, she had not watched them yet. She planned to watch it together with Kobato. Kodaka felt relieved that Kobato had not come along to Sana's house. Sana managed to win the game easily. In fact, that was her 10th consecutive win. Kodaka was surprised considering she did not know how to play at all when they first started. Sana said she was good at everything. Time passed quickly, and before they realized it, the day was already turning into evening, yet they had not studied at all. Just as Kodaka was about to head home, Sela appeared and said that dinner was ready. Sana then invited him to join them for dinner. After dinner, Kodaka got up to say goodbye, but Pegasus asked him to spend the night. Kodaka could not bring himself to refuse. He quickly sent a message to Kobato, telling her to either heat up one of the frozen meals in the fridge or make instant noodles for dinner. At that moment, Kobato was happily singing to herself. After eating, Kodaka decided to take a bath. Not long after, Pegasus showed up, saying that he wanted to scrub Kodaka's back. Kodaka politely declined, saying there was no need, but Pegasus insisted that he should not be shy. Pegasus shared that back when Hayato was still around, he used to take the initiative to lather up the soap and sit behind him. As he scrubbed Kodaka's back, Pegasus asked how it felt. Kodaka said it felt just right. That moment reminded Pegasus of the first time he and Hayato been together. Pegasus then brought up the fact that Sana had come home from school the day before with fried squid and yakisoba in her hair. He asked if Sana was often picked on at school. Sana had told him that hairstyle suited her best, and in the end, Pegasus had given her a punishment. Pegasus also noticed that such a hairstyle did not exist, which confused him, especially since Sana usually held herself with pride. He started to worry, but Sana told him she had done it by her own choice. Kodaka asked whether Pegasus had seen the state of Sana's room recently. It turned out that Sana had not allowed Pegasus near her room since she started high school, and he thought that was normal. Kodaka wanted to say that it seemed like Sana was turning into a pervy stalker-type girl, but he knew he could never say something like that out loud. Instead, he told Pegasus that Sana had never been bullied by her classmates. Kodaka also promised that he would protect Sana if anyone ever tried to mess with her. Pegasus said he would entrust Sana to Kodaka, though it felt like there was a deeper meaning behind his words. At that moment, Kodaka still did not realize he was already caught in a situation he would not be able to walk away from. That night, before falling asleep, Sana, as usual, imagined Yozora's face while kissing Yozora's wig as a way to fuel her feelings of revenge. That day, as usual, Kodaka headed to the neighbor's clubroom after class. He was surprised to see a girl he didn't recognize. When she greeted him, he finally realized it was Rika. She had let her hair down and wasn't wearing her glasses. Kodaka asked about her glasses, and Rika explained that she just wanted to change things up a bit and see if people viewed her differently without them. When Kodaka asked if she was wearing contact lenses, Rika told him that her glasses had always been fake. She didn't actually have any vision problems and only wore them as a fashion choice. Kodaka never expected Rika to talk about fashion at all. She then asked what he thought of her current look. Kodaka felt like she had transformed like a wildflower blooming on a hillside. If he had to choose, he would say her look without glasses matched his taste more. Without realizing it, Kodaka had accidentally said those thoughts out loud. Rika immediately blushed. Yozora, clearly annoyed, stomped on Kodaka's foot. Sana and Yukimura didn't look too happy either. Meanwhile, Rika laughed at Kodaka's reaction. Rika hadn't expected Kodaka to think of her that way, and then, in her usual bold manner, she invited him to do something inappropriate with her. Kodaka flatly rejected the idea. Rika quickly apologized, realizing that what she said had been rude. She then tried to rephrase her words more politely, but the soft tone still ended up suggesting the same thing. Kodaka sighed and asked why it had to be Rika, of all people, who acted like that. Rika was shocked by how disappointed he sounded. It nearly brought her to tears. Kodaka ignored her and chose to focus on studying instead. Rika couldn't believe how heartless he was, completely disregarding her hurt feelings, but strangely, that coldness only seemed to excite her more. Deciding she needed a break from reality, she thought it might be best to escape into the two-dimensional world. Rika asked Sana for permission to use her TV so she could watch an anime she had just bought. The anime was titled Gay Game Club. Yozora immediately smacked Rika in the face and demanded to know what kind of inappropriate material she was planning to watch in the clubroom. Rika insisted it wasn't anything indecent. She explained that although the show was based on a romantic game between men, the adult scenes had been removed in the anime adaptation, making it suitable even for kids. While it did have a few sensual moments on screen, she said it was still safe for all ages. Yozora, unconvinced, asked who would even care about that. Rika replied that she cared and even showed Yozora that the disc had no 17+ rating on it. Yozora argued that even without the label, the title and cover alone were already suspicious. Rika countered that things shouldn't be judged just by appearances. Kodaka agreed with Rika. He said that before criticizing something, it's better to take a closer look at what's inside. Judging based only on appearances could really hurt someone. Rika was touched and said that Kodaka was amazing. She invited Yozora to watch the anime with her, explaining that the scenes had been re-edited and some new ones were added, so even first-time viewers could easily follow the story. In the end, everyone ended up watching the anime together. The first scene featured Koyomi inviting Fumio to try out a Gaiden game. At first, Fumio wasn't interested, but after watching a bit, he changed his mind and decided to give it a try. Fumio's friends were shocked that their game hadn't sold a single copy. However, Fumio got upset and hit one of them, saying that sales numbers didn't matter to him. The climax came when an antagonist tried to destroy the Gaiden club, and Koyomi refused to let that happen. He stood his ground, ready to protect the club. The ending was unexpectedly emotional, with Koyomi declaring that even if the whole world turned against him, he would always protect Fumio. To everyone's surprise, both Sena and Yozora ended up in tears because of the anime's touching story. Rika asked Yozora what she thought of it, and Yozora admitted that it was actually pretty good. But just as the credits were about to roll, an unexpected twist came. Koyomi and Fumio shared a kiss. That scene left everyone stunned. Without realizing it, 2 hours had already passed. Yukimura commented that the show was surprisingly good. Yozora then asked Rika why Koyomi and Fumio kissed at the end. Rika explained that once the two characters had truly understood each other's feelings, it was only natural for them to share a kiss. Yozora was puzzled, especially since Koyomi and Fumio were just friends. According to Rika, it was simply because Koyomi and Fumio were human. Yozora questioned whether it was normal to do such things with a friend, but Rika didn't think it was strange at all. She said that when emotions come into play, it's only natural for the body to follow, even if it's between friends or even between two guys. So if they genuinely liked each other, it would make sense for them to just kiss and even do intimate things, because, as Rika put it, that's just nature taking its course. Kodaka responded that it wasn't okay to casually bring up guys doing things together as if it were totally normal. That made Yozora realize for the first time that even friends could kiss. She immediately turned to look at Kodaka. Yozora admitted that she had misunderstood the anime. Rika asked if that meant Yozora's interest in homo content had finally been awakened. Yozora quickly denied it, saying she only thought the club's homo-themed game anime wasn't bad. Rika was excited to hear that someone actually enjoyed it. Yozora even told Rika not to hesitate to show her other similar anime if she had any. Rika was thrilled to have finally found someone who shared her taste, but she reminded herself not to mess things up in a moment like that. Stena, however, thought the anime wasn't suitable for all ages. She was confused by the fact that Yozora had once called her gal games perverted and disgusting, yet seemed to accept the homo-themed anime from Rika without hesitation. Yozora told Sana not to compare a story about male friendship to some dumb game focused on poking and prodding women. That really got on Sana's nerves. She felt insulted that Yozora had dissed her gal game. Yozora then asked if Sana had the guts to read aloud the scene she was playing. She pointed out how inappropriate the dialogue was and claimed that she herself could read any scene from the Homo Club anime because, in her opinion, it was a piece of high art. Sana challenged her to do it. Yozora read one of the scenes out loud, and the dialogue turned out to be surprisingly well written. Sana flipped through to find another one, but they all still sounded impressive. Kodaka couldn't believe Yozora actually remembered every line of the scenes. Yozora said it was Sana's turn now. If there was really nothing embarrassing in her gal game, then she should have no problem reading a scene aloud. Sana went quiet, but Yozora kept pushing her. Eventually, Sana gave in and agreed to read it just like Yozora did. She read the gal game scene in a low voice and hesitated when she came across inappropriate words. Yozora urged her to read it loudly, clearly, and with emotion. So Sana read it out loud, even including the inappropriate terms, and Kodaka was genuinely surprised that she actually went through with it. Sana declared that Yozora couldn't keep pushing her around forever. Yozora was stunned by how extreme the gal game dialogue turned out to be. Sana asked, wasn't it true that there was absolutely nothing to be ashamed of in the game? Yozora admitted defeat and acknowledged that Sana had won, though she also said she didn't want to look at her right now. Rika commented that the scene they had just heard was a bit much for her, and even Yukimura confessed that she hadn't realized Sana could be that suggestive. Yozora said she finally understood why Sana liked that game and apologized for making fun of her. Sana was shocked and immediately ran off, but not before snapping at Yozora and calling her a perverted game freak. That same day, Kodaka had just finished his exams and was walking across the schoolyard when a girl dressed as a nun called out to him, referring to him as a lost little lamb. Kodaka ignored her. The girl called out again, saying that ignoring a servant of God was practically a sin. Kodaka turned and asked if she was actually talking to him. She laughed and offered to listen if he had anything on his mind, saying she was a sister and it was her job to help. She said she understood that life was full of problems, so many that perhaps that was why Kodaka had turned into a delinquent and dyed his hair. Kodaka clarified that his hair was naturally that color. She apologized for stopping him, but told him that if he ever needed someone to talk to, he should feel free to come to the counseling room. The girl introduced herself as Kate and told Kodaka to call her either big sister or mom. Suddenly, Maria shouted out and called Kodaka her big brother, then ran up and hugged him. Kodaka asked if Maria knew Kate. Maria was shocked and screamed, asking why the old hag was talking with Kodaka. Kate got annoyed and immediately tugged Maria's ear for calling her an old lady. It turned out that Kate was Maria's older sister, and she ordered Maria to call her beloved big sister. Maria, clearly in pain, apologized and Kate let her go. Kate assumed that the guy in front of her was Kodaka. She mentioned that she had heard a lot about him from Maria. She also introduced herself again as Maria's older sister. Just as Kodaka had seen, she admitted that Maria was a pretty clueless little sister, but she thanked him for taking care of her. Maria then said that Kodaka would always be her big brother whether Kate asked him to or not, and walked away. Kate yelled at Maria to do her job properly, but Maria loudly shouted back that she didn't want to. Kate was confused by how her little sister could be that clueless, but she was still grateful to Kodaka and the other members of the neighbors' club. Maria had been a lot more cheerful ever since she became the club's advisor. Kodaka said he had always thought Maria was naturally that cheerful. Kate explained that the only thing Maria ever really did was study. Her self-confidence was sky-high and she looked down on others. Things got even worse after she skipped grades. That's why Kate was thankful to Kodaka and to Maria's little vampire sister for being there. She also expressed gratitude to Yozora, who had pushed Maria out of her shell without giving her a chance to talk back. According to Kate, Yozora was the only person Maria couldn't manipulate. Kodaka understood. He hadn't expected anyone to be that thankful to Yozora. Kate added that it might have been a bit too much to force a little girl to run completely naked through the school. Kodaka apologized and promised it wouldn't happen again. Kate asked them to continue supporting each other, then called Kodaka Big Brother. Kodaka agreed, but also asked why she called him that. Kate explained that since Kodaka was Maria's big brother, he was basically her big brother too. She was only 15 after all. She then said goodbye. Unfortunately, as she walked away, she accidentally let out a fart and Kodaka saw it happen. Not long after that, Yozora called out to Kodaka. She said she thought he'd already gone to the club room. Kodaka admitted that he had just run into a weird person. Yozora mentioned that exams were over and that she heard some classmates comparing answers afterward. Kodaka said that in some places, that was still a thing people did. Yozora called it a waste of time, but added that if they ever made some real friends, they might end up doing it too. With that in mind, Yozora suggested they try comparing their answers now, just in case. Kodaka said he understood. Yozora then asked about question 4, part 3 from the math test. Math had been on the first day of exams and Kodaka couldn't even remember the question, let alone the answer. Unfortunately, that was the only question Yozora had doubts about. Kodaka asked her what the question was about. Yozora said it was a logic problem worth 15 points. Kodaka wasn't entirely sure and his answer was a bit long. From his point of view, it was kind of hard to determine whether their answers were right or wrong just by talking it through. Yozora thought it would be better if she had just admitted that the question was tough, or that she wasn't confident in her answer to begin with. When she asked whether the question had been difficult, Kodaka agreed that it had. Yozora then said she wanted to compare other questions, but Kodaka suggested they should stick to multiple choice questions, fill in the blank types, or ones they had just worked on that day. Yozora picked question 11, part 2, from Japanese history. Kodaka took another look at it. It was the one asking for the name of the Hauju family retainer who assassinated Judge Yasunori Adachi. Kodaka had answered with Yoritsuma Taira, and he felt pretty confident was correct. Yozora also knew that was the right answer, but pointed out that there was a chance she might have written Amy instead of Suna by mistake, and she hoped she had spelled it correctly. That made her unsure of what she had written earlier, and hearing that made Kodaka start to second-guess himself too. He realized that comparing answers could actually be pretty terrifying because it might shake your confidence in answers you had been sure of before. Yozora then brought up question 18, part 2. Kodaka said he had just guessed on that one. Suddenly, Sana chimed in, saying the answer was the year 1324. She walked over and asked if Yozora and Kodaka were comparing their answers. She said they should include hers in the mix, claiming they were lucky to have the chance to compare their answers with hers, because hers were perfect. Yozora told her to leave, saying she wasn't needed there. Sena was confused and asked why she was being shut out like that, then invited Yozora to compare answers with her directly. Yozora brought up math question 5, part 3. Sena confidently said the answer was 45. Kodaka was surprised that both of them could remember the answers just from the question numbers. Yozora walked away and Sena ran after her, asking her to throw more questions at her, even the hard ones. But Yozora just said that comparing answers with Sena wasn't fun at all. Instead, she said she would rather compare her answers with Tomo, her imaginary friend from the wind, and ignored Sena completely. That afternoon, Kobato was watching TV while Kodaka was cooking. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Kodaka asked Kobato to answer the door and told her that if it was someone from the newspaper agency, they didn't need anything. Right after that, he heard Kobato shout that they didn't need any. Kodaka figured it must be the newspaper agent, but when he went to check, he saw that Kobato was actually trying to stop Maria from coming into the house. Maria got excited and immediately jumped toward Kodaka. Kodaka was surprised to hear that she ran away. Maria explained that Kate kept forcing her to work, and she figured that since Kodaka was her big brother, he wouldn't make her do chores. Hearing that, Kate got annoyed and told Maria that she might as well just become Kodaka's child. Not long after, the phone rang. It was Kate calling. She told Kodaka that she didn't mind Maria staying at his place and asked him to take care of her for a few days. Kodaka was fine with it, especially since it was still school break, so he agreed to let Maria stay over. That night, Kodaka invited Maria and Kobato to have dinner together. Maria was amazed by how much food was on the table and even thought it looked like a Christmas celebration. Kobato called Maria a clueless church servant from another era and said that was exactly why she was sick of dealing with someone as lowly as Maria. When Kobato was about to grab some food, Maria slapped her hand away and told her to pray first. Kobato replied that she was a servant of the night and never worshipped anything. Kodaka reminded Kobato that if that's her belief, fine, but she should at least say let's eat before starting. Kobato gave in and said it, and Kodaka praised her for that. She then immediately started devouring the fried chicken. Maria quickly said her prayers so she could start eating too. Kobato pointed out that Maria hadn't finished praying yet, but Maria claimed she was just trying to rescue the chicken from an evil vampire like Kobato. The two of them started arguing and Kodaka couldn't believe they were fighting during dinner. Suddenly the phone rang again. Kodaka picked it up and it was Kate. She asked him what color his underwear was, which made Kodaka tell her to skip the small talk. Kate then asked if he had eaten. Kodaka said they were in the middle of dinner, and Kate asked him to remind Maria to finish her vegetables. When Kodaka returned to the table, his fried chicken was gone. He asked who ate it, and Maria and Kobato blamed each other. While washing the dishes, Kodaka asked Maria how she knew his address. Maria said Kate had brought her there. Kodaka pointed out that this wasn't exactly running away from home. Then the phone rang again. Kate was checking in to see if Maria had finished her vegetables. Kodaka told her that Maria had eaten all of them, which made Kate feel relieved, and she hung up right after that. Later that night, Kobato wanted to play video games with Kodaka, but Maria suddenly pointed out that the game Kobato was playing was actually an eroge. Kodaka quickly clarified that it was just a normal game and told Maria to give it a try. Maria and Kobato started playing together, but Kobato easily defeated Maria in no time. She said it was impossible for a low-level human like Maria to beat her. Maria kept trying but still couldn't win against Kobato. Kodaka reminded them that it was time for a bath. Maria immediately took off her clothes and tossed them at Kodaka before rushing to the bathroom. Just then, the phone rang again. It was Kate. Kodaka told her that Maria was currently in the bath. Kate asked him to remind Maria to scrub herself properly. Kodaka was confused about why Kate was so worried, but she didn't admit anything and hung up quickly. While Maria was bathing, Kodaka brought her a change of clothes from Kobato and reminded her to scrub thoroughly. While waiting, he played video games with Kobato. After finishing her bath, Maria came to Kodaka and said that the pajamas felt a bit tight, especially around the chest, and that might make it hard for her to sleep. Kobato got irritated and scolded Maria. Maria finally put on Kodaka's t-shirt, which made him incredibly happy. She was overjoyed and said that she and Kodaka had become one. Kobato challenged Maria to play a game again, and surprisingly, they played until late at night. Maria even fell asleep while playing. Kobato commented that Maria wasn't worthy of being her opponent and turned off the TV. At that moment, Maria's body was sprawled on the couch and Kobato glanced at her slightly exposed chest. Suddenly, Kodaka remarked that getting enough sleep was good for growth. Hearing that, Kobato quickly ran off to her room saying she needed to go to bed. Kodaka gently moved Maria to the bed and tucked her in with a blanket. Then Kate called again, asking whether Maria had fallen asleep. Kodaka jokingly asked if she was a cis, but Kate denied it and abruptly hung up. Not long after, she called back to ask if Maria had brushed her teeth. Feeling irritated, Kodaka turned off his phone and unplugged the line, thinking it would be too much trouble if Maria kept staying at his place. Even so, he still woke Maria up so she could brush her teeth. The next morning, Kate came to pick Maria up from Kodaka's house. She told Maria to apologize to Kodaka for causing him trouble, but Kodaka thought the one who had been troublesome was actually Kate herself. Kate thanked Kodaka, and Maria asked if she could sleep over again sometime. Kodaka didn't mind, but suddenly Kobato shouted that Maria shouldn't come over anymore. Kodaka was briefly confused and hoped Kobato would come to understand eventually. After that, Kodaka went back inside and scolded Kobato for playing video games so early in the morning. Kobato claimed she needed to train just in case Maria came back again. She declared her plan to make Maria kneel before her strength. That afternoon, Kodaka gathered with the neighbor's club in the clubroom. According to him, there was nothing else to do during the 3-day break. Yozora felt the same way and wondered what normal people did with their free time. Rika said she had read a manga where people celebrated after exams with a party called a Thanksgiving celebration. Kodaka admitted he had heard of that before too. Yozora then suggested that they throw their own celebration party. Suddenly, Sana said she wasn't tired at all because she didn't study during the exams. Hearing that, Yozora told her she wasn't allowed to join the party. Sana immediately acted weak, saying the exams had worn her out. In response, Yozora told her to go rest in the student infirmary. Rika chimed in saying she didn't have to take the exams from the start. Maria added that since she was a teacher, she didn't need to take exams either, but she still wanted to join the celebration. Yozora allowed her to take part. Sana then asked if she could join too, but Yozora said the event was limited to just 6 people. Sana got annoyed and questioned why Yozora always treated her like that. Despite the drama, all the club members joined the party. Yozora invited everyone to have a drink, but Kodaka suggested they make a toast first. After raising their glasses to celebrate the end of exams, they all took a drink. Yukimura commented that she wasn't very good with carbonated drinks. Kodaka wondered why she chose one then, and it turned out Yukimura had simply followed his lead, picking the same drink as him. She thought a man shouldn't be defeated by just one drink, so she took a big gulp, but ended up collapsing right after. She apologized for embarrassing Kodaka. Kodaka told her to just drink some orange juice instead, and he would finish the soda for her. Rika pointed out that this counted as an indirect kiss. That comment triggered a memory in Kodaka's mind of young Yozora coughing after trying soda. He then asked Yozora if she still couldn't drink soda. Yozora replied that it wasn't that she couldn't, she just didn't like it. Rika and Sana looked surprised when they heard Kodaka use the word still, and they both began to get suspicious. Kodaka forgot that he had to keep his past and Yozora a secret. After they finished all the snacks, Yozora asked what they should do next, whether they should play a game. Rika mentioned that she had heard of a group game called the King's Game, where the king is chosen randomly, and whoever is the king gets to order anyone to do whatever he wants. Sana got really excited and even planned to order Yozora to lick her feet. She was enthusiastic about getting everyone to play the King's Game. Yozora agreed and even planned to give Sana a tough time during the game. Kodaka set one condition: the king's orders had to be chosen randomly, so he asked everyone to write down king's orders and put them into a box. He had to do this because otherwise everyone would just make up orders as they pleased. On the first turn, Sana got to be king. She even said that she was obviously the one who deserved to be king. Yozora immediately handed her the box full of orders. Sana said that Yozora would be punished by the king for being disrespectful and read an order saying that person number 4 had to change into a swimsuit. Kodaka was shocked and asked who had written that order. Sana admitted she wrote it herself. Kodaka then asked what would happen if the order was directed at Sana herself, but she said she wouldn't be affected. Sana asked who had number 4, the poor fool who would have to spend the whole game wearing a swimsuit. Unexpectedly, number 4 turned out to be Kobato. Sana was surprised and said the order was inappropriate and that she would erase it. However, Yozora insisted that the king's orders were absolute and told Kobato to take out her anger on Sana. Sana pointed out that there were no swimsuits in the room, but Rika offered a very sexy cosplay outfit as a replacement. Kobato had no choice but to wear it, and at that moment, she truly hated Senna. On the next turn, Yozora became king. When she drew a king's order, she was shocked and wondered who the fool was who wrote it. The order was for number 5, who was Maria. Yozora read the order aloud. It was something quite inappropriate. Yozora suspected that Rika was the one who wrote it. Rika admitted it, saying it would be more fun to see the person reading it get embarrassed. Then Sena became king again. Unexpectedly, she went to the convenience store in front of the school and read a dialogue from the king's orders where she scolded the cashier exactly as written. Afterwards, Sena got annoyed and asked who had written such an order and why the king had to follow their own orders. Yozora explained that the king's orders were absolute, even if it meant ordering themselves. Kodaka guessed that Yozora must have written that order since she had marked the edges of the paper so she wouldn't pick the wrong one. He thought Yozora was seriously scary. Next, it was Rika's turn to be king. Her order was for number 1 to show her chest to everyone present. Yukimura suspected that Kodaka was the one who wrote the command, but Kodaka denied it. It turned out that Sena was the one who wrote it. Kodaka then asked what would happen if Sena herself ended up facing the consequences, but Sena was confident that wouldn't happen. Kodaka wondered where Sena's confidence came from. It turned out the number 1 was Kodaka himself, and he immediately showed his chest to everyone. After that, they took turns receiving the king's commands. Maria was ordered to ask the male students to choose between curry-flavored poop or poop-flavored curry. Sena and Rika were told to run around the field. Yukimura had to wear a bald wig. Maria and Yozora were instructed to dance together, and there were many other fun challenges. Finally, they reached the last round, and this time Sena became the king again. When she was drawing lots, A noticed a piece of paper stuck in the corner and decided to make it the final command. The order was number 3 had to kiss the king. Everyone was shocked to hear this. Sena asked about number 3, and it turned out Kodaka had drawn that number. Maria got excited knowing her older brother Kodaka was going to kiss someone, while Sena blushed and asked Kodaka to come closer quickly. Kodaka wondered if they really had to do it since the king's orders were absolute. As Kodaka and Sena were about to kiss, Yozora suddenly stopped them, insisting that something inappropriate like that should not happen. Sena argued that the king's order was absolute, but Yozora remained firm in preventing it. Kodaka then drank the soda in Sena's glass, so technically they kissed indirectly. Rika agreed with this solution, as did Kobato, Yukimura, and Yozora. Yozora announced that the king's game was over. Sena realized that kissing just because of an order wasn't really a good idea. That night, Kodaka's father called, asking about Kodaka and Kobato's well-being. Kodaka said that they were both doing fine. Kodaka's father then mentioned hearing from Pegasus that Kodaka was going to marry his daughter. Hearing this, Kodaka was shocked. Kodaka's father called him and asked if he was planning to marry Pegasus' daughter. Pegasus had apparently contacted him to talk about setting a date, but his voice over the phone sounded like he was drunk. Kodaka's dad also asked if Kodaka was dating Sena. Kodaka clearly stated that he wasn't in a relationship with her. His father then asked if he had 1 or 2 girlfriends. Kodaka openly admitted that he didn't have any. Instead, he joked that Kobato already had a boyfriend and that she was staying over at his place that night. Upon hearing that, his father got really angry and even said he'd fly back to Japan right away. Kodaka quickly admitted he was just joking and ended the call. That day, Kodaka brought Kobato to the neighbor's club room. Seeing her, Sena got excited and asked if Kobato wanted to go with her to an amusement park the next day. She even showed her a ticket to Yokoshima Wonderland, which had been given to her by one of her father's college friends. Sena said the park would be selling limited edition toys and that she would treat Kobato to lots of candy and hamburgers. She sincerely hoped Kobato would accept her offer and even asked her not to be scared of her. Yozora immediately commented on the ticket and called Sena pathetic. Kodaka asked if Yozora had ever been to that place. She admitted that she had back when she was in middle school, and all she did there was read books. Kodaka said he had only gone with his family before, but someday he hoped to go with friends. Yozora then decided that everyone in the club should go to Yokoshima Wonderland together the next day, especially since exams were over and nobody had any other plans. Kodaka agreed. According to Rika, since it wasn't a weekend, the park wouldn't be too crowded, so she decided to come along as well. Naturally, Yukimura wanted to accompany Kodaka. Maria was overjoyed at the thought of going to an amusement park. Kobato figured it might be a good idea to experience a human amusement park at least once. Sena told Yozora that she had originally only invited Kobato, but Yozora pointed out that the ticket allowed up to 6 adults, so they might as well use all the slots. Everyone turned to look at Maria upon hearing 6 adults. Realizing she was a kid and wouldn't count as one of the adults, Maria looked a little left out. Sena quickly said she would buy an extra ticket for her. Maria immediately hugged Sena and thanked her. While walking home, Kodaka asked Sena if there was anything strange about her father the day before. Sena explained that after handing over the tickets, her father suddenly got super cheerful and started drinking sake, though she had no idea why. Kodaka guessed it was probably just drunken nonsense he said over the phone. The next day, Kodaka and the others went to Yokoshima Wonderland. He figured it was probably Sena's first time at an amusement park. When Kodaka asked which ride they wanted to go on first, Yozora, Sena, Rika, and Kobato all confidently chose the Black Dragon, a roller coaster. Kodaka was surprised they wanted to start with that, but Sena had already decided that it was the first ride they'd go on. Yozora said the ride was pretty famous, and Kobato referred to it as the Dark Dragon. Even Maria wanted to ride it. They all got on the roller coaster together. As it started moving, Yozora said it felt way too slow, while Sena commented that the people below looked like trash. Kobato even thought that was the extent of the ride's power. Rika said all the vibrations were making her feel overheated and extremely flustered. But once the roller coaster began to climb, their faces changed. Yozora and Sena started hoping the ride would stop. Kobato and Maria began screaming in fear, though Yukimura still looked calm. As the roller coaster dropped suddenly, everyone screamed at the top of their lungs and even started shouting things they probably shouldn't have said. After getting off the ride, Kodaka asked what they thought of the Black Dragon. Maria said the ride was super fun, while Rika was holding her head and looked completely dazed. She didn't remember a thing. Suddenly, an announcement played saying that the Iron Necromancer character show would start at 10:45 on the main stage. Upon hearing this, Sena immediately called out to Kobato, and Kodaka asked if Kobato wanted to go watch it with him. Sena told Kobato that she had just bought the Blu-ray and the Iron Necromancer series yesterday. She proudly called herself a big fan and asked Kobato who her favorite character was. Sena said she liked a character named Mare from Season 2, but then Kobato suddenly corrected her by saying Meryl, referring to the Fate user from Season 2, Episode 8. She even mentioned the character's full name, Emerald Myrael von Revelatia Utori. Sena laughed and said that the Mare she meant was indeed Meryl. Kobato added that Meryl also made a return appearance in Season 3, Episode 5. Kodaka explained that Kobato was a hardcore Iron Necromancer fan, so when someone talks about it half-heartedly like that, it's like pouring oil on a fire. Not long after the show began, the special guest for the day was Iron Necromancer Guernica. The audience cheered with excitement, and the host asked everyone to call out Guernica's name together. But instead, Astaroth, the villain, made an entrance. He announced that Guernica would be late because he had fallen into one of his traps. Astaroth declared that he would take everyone hostage until Guernica showed up, and the host dramatically called for help. Astaroth then asked the crowd if anyone would volunteer to become a hostage along with the host, promising a special gift for the one who stepped up. Unexpectedly, Sena volunteered to be the hostage. Kodaka was surprised and asked why she did that. It turned out Sena was aiming for the prize to give it to Kobato. But Kobato responded bluntly, saying she didn't need a reward from such a lame show. The host then apologized and said that mothers weren't allowed to be hostages. Astaroth suggested Kobato take her place instead. Sena looked completely confused by the conversation. Kodaka explained that both the host and Astaroth had assumed Sena was Kobato's mom. Sena was shocked and asked why they would think that. She even joked that if she was the mom, then that would make Kodaka the dad. Kodaka was quick to reject that idea. At that moment, one of Astaroth's sidekicks persuaded Kobato to join in, and she agreed to become the hostage. So Kobato ended up being part of the show and got rescued by Guernica in the end. Sena was totally thrilled watching the performance and almost hugged Kodaka out of excitement. When the show ended, Kobato got the autograph of the director. Kodaka pointed out that Kobato only got the reward thanks to Sena volunteering herself earlier. Upon hearing that, Kobato shyly and quietly thanked Sena. Sena looked deeply touched, but Kobato immediately ran off. Sena mentioned how cute Kobato looked when she was acting all shy. Kodaka also thanked Sena, and Sena replied that it wasn't like she did it for Kodaka or anything. She only did it for Kobato. Sena complained that it was annoying how the host and Astaroth called her a mom, especially since she wasn't even married. She called them idiots. The word married suddenly made Sena think that before marriage, people needed to date first. Kodaka noticed and asked what she was thinking about, but Sena didn't answer him. Kodaka reunited with his friends at the cafe and asked what everyone had been up to earlier. Yozora said she had just been reading a book. Rika proudly shared that she had ridden the carousel 10 times, and Maria excitedly said she had eaten fruit, crepes, and a bunch of other snacks. Kodaka apologized to Yukimura for having to cover all the food Maria had ordered, but Yukimura told him it was totally fine. After all, it was only natural for her to take care of Kodaka's little sister. Maria was instantly drawn to the curry in front of her. As she was about to say something gross about it, Yozora quickly pinched her cheek to stop her from finishing her sentence. Maria changed course and said the curry actually looked tasty. They all started eating together. While they were enjoying the meal, Kodaka asked what they wanted to do afterward. Maria immediately requested that they go on the Black Dragon ride again. That caught both Yozora and Kodaka off guard. Kodaka suggested they drop the idea of riding the Black Dragon again, but Seina said she was still up for another round. However, she added that it wouldn't matter if the others were too scared to go. Yozora told Seina to quit pretending to be tough, pointing out that she was scared too when they rode earlier. Not wanting to let that slide, Seina fired back, saying that Yozora's legs were shaking during the ride. Yozora denied it, but Seina kept teasing her by mimicking the scream that Yozora let out, which was apparently still ringing in her ears. Yozora clearly couldn't let that go and claimed Seina screamed too, and even wet herself. Caught off guard, Seina accidentally admitted it before quickly shouting in denial, insisting she wasn't scared of roller coasters at all. Yozora then challenged her to ride it again. Seina agreed, but only if Yozora went with her so she could take her picture with her digital camera. As it turned out, Seina had been hiding her camera the whole time. After that, Seina and Yozora lined up again to ride the Black Dragon. Meanwhile, Kodaka and the rest of the group tried some of the other extreme rides, including a terrifying haunted house. Later, Kodaka suggested they go on the Ferris wheel. Once they reached the top, they looked down and commented on how tiny the people below looked. Kodaka mentioned that the Black Dragon looked amazing from up there and wondered how Yozora and Seina were doing. Rika pointed out that they had been separated for quite a while and suggested they go find them. Once they got off the Ferris wheel, they quickly spotted Yozora and Seina sitting on a bench looking exhausted. Kodaka walked up and asked what had happened. Apparently, the two of them had ridden the Black Dragon 8 times. Kodaka was surprised to hear that. They had kept riding it because neither one wanted to admit defeat. Rika asked who had won, but there was still no clear winner. They planned to settle it on a 9th ride. Kodaka urged them to just call it a draw, saying they had both tried hard enough. But Yozora and Seina were too stubborn to quit. They were determined not to lose, even if it was tough. Eventually, they couldn't take the nausea anymore and both became quite ill. Kodaka and the rest of the group quickly made their way to the nearest laundry facility to clean up. Kodaka told everyone to meet up again at the entrance gate at 4 o'clock. Afterward, they all headed to the bathhouse. Maria, however, decided to join the men's side instead. She said she didn't want to be in the same area as Yozora and Seina due to the unpleasant smell. Hearing that, Kodaka allowed her to join the men's bath. Maria was happy to have the chance to bathe with her beloved big brother. While Kodaka was rinsing his hair, Yukimura suddenly showed up and offered to help him. Kodaka was caught off guard and initially declined, saying he could manage on his own. Yukimura responded with a bit of disappointment, but eventually Kodaka accepted her help. As Yukimura helped Kodaka, they had a quiet conversation about identity. Maria curiously asked about some differences between them, and Yukimura explained that she was still growing and figuring things out. Kodaka realized something about Yukimura and later shared it with the group, who were all surprised. Rika then gently talked to Yukimura in private to help her understand herself better. Yukimura accepted the truth about her identity and shared her feelings with Kodaka, explaining how family had influenced her thoughts about herself. Kodaka kindly reassured her that she could be herself and didn't have to fit into any particular mold. This comforted Yukimura, who promised to continue supporting Kodaka. Seina commented on how cute Yukimura looked in her outfit, and Yozora admitted she had underestimated her, finding Yukimura's sweetness and obedience surprising. On their way home, they all took the train together. Kodaka looked at the group and said that when they were asleep, they all looked like ordinary, adorable girls. Just then, Yukimura cuddled up next to Kodaka, and he was surprised by how close she was. Kodaka was surprised to see Yukimura wearing a butler costume. Yozora explained that it was part of a new training program, version 2, to help Yukimura become a true gentleman. Yukimura said she would keep doing her best even if she still had a long way to go. To Kodaka, Yukimura hadn't just made little progress, he honestly thought she was a girl. But Yukimura believed that being a real man wasn't something limited by gender. Yozora agreed, saying that if someone had the spirit of a man, they could still be considered one, regardless of how they were born. Yukimura then confidently promised Kodaka that one day she would become a true gentleman like him. Kodaka understood her determination, but he couldn't help wondering why dressing as a butler was necessary. According to Yozora, the first image that came to her mind when thinking of a man was definitely a butler. Sena asked if there was really a problem with a girl wearing a butler outfit. She thought it looked cute. Rika agreed, saying female butlers had actually become quite popular lately. Sena brought up Nebaru Kokono from Butler Chicken and Mayonnaise, and Rika called Nebaru the most charming character at the time. She described her as shy, a little clumsy, and naturally endearing in a way that made her stand out, even in scenes where she found herself in silly situations. To Rika, it was part of her charm. Rika said Yozora had surprisingly good taste for dressing Yukimura as a butler, but Yozora admitted her plan hadn't gone exactly how she hoped. Even though Yukimura didn't fully grasp the point, she promised to continue serving Kodaka while wearing the outfit Yozora had chosen. Kodaka gave her a few words of encouragement. Then Kodaka noticed Rika playing a game on her laptop. He asked if it was another BL game, and Rika confirmed it, though she mentioned she also had a backlog of RPGs, shooters, and even otome games. Curious, Kodaka asked what otome games were. Rika explained that they were story-based romance games aimed at women. She showed them a title called Kirameki School Life. Yozora immediately said it was cursed with something she called the Samapaname curse. Kodaka asked if that had anything to do with Kirosuku. Rika clarified that it was the gender-swap version of Kirameki School Life Otome. In this version, all the supporting characters were male while the protagonist remained female. The game had earned the nickname Girlsuku. Rika noticed Yozora didn't seem very interested, and Yozora admitted that if it was based on what she considered a silly game, it probably wasn't for her. Stana wasn't about to let that slide. She hadn't played Girlsuku herself, but she felt Yozora's comment was like an indirect insult to her little sister. For Sena, saying something bad about Girlsuku was like insulting Kobata personally. Kodaka suggested that Yozora shouldn't judge a game by its cover. Eventually, Yozora agreed to at least try it out. When the game started, Yozora skipped the opening video, saying it was a waste of time. Then the game asked her to input a name. Rika told her it was for the protagonist. Yozora joked that if the main character was supposed to be someone who flirts with a lot of guys, she might as well name her Sena. Rika said playing as a bold character could be fun too, but suggested that Yozora try playing as someone who focuses on just one meaningful relationship instead. While Yozora was typing, Sena suddenly jumped in and typed a random string of letters, ending up with the name Yo Chibaraki. Sena burst out laughing and said it suited Yozora perfectly. Kodaka could tell Sena was still holding a bit of a grudge from the whole Semapaname incident. Yozora was clearly annoyed. Rika, meanwhile, was frustrated because she was trying to get Yozora genuinely interested in otome games, but Sena kept interfering. Her serious expression even startled Sena, who quickly apologized. Rika seemed confused about why Sena apologized. She had only asked a question. Kodaka was surprised to see Rika act so intense. Eventually, Yozora changed the protagonist's name to her own. The game introduced Yozora's character as a first-year student at Kirameki High School. The character commented that the spring breeze felt wonderful. Sena couldn't help but chuckle. The character seemed like an ordinary girl who just wanted to enjoy her high school life. Then the character said she carried many hopes in her heart. Sena laughed again, teasing Yozora with a light remark. Yozora, now irritated, gave her a quick glare, but said nothing, choosing instead to focus on the game. At that moment, Yozora accidentally bumped into a guy named Aoji Shinomori. Aoji helped her get back on her feet. Rika mentioned that Oji was also a new student, just like the main character. He was the heir to the Shinomori Corporation, and apparently, every girl at school liked him. Kodaka hoped he and Aoji could have a fun high school life together. Yozora said Oji was cool, and she was really glad to meet someone that amazing on the very first day of school. She thought her high school life was going to be as beautiful as a rose. Sena immediately teased her again and even said she wanted to call Yozora Rose. That annoyed Yozora, and she said over-the-top girls like that weren't her style. She joked that maybe she should change her character's name back to Yo Chibarik. Rika tried to calm Yozora down, saying it was just a game. Then Yuko Fuyuki, who sat next to Yozora, asked if she knew Aoji. Yozora, clearly irritated, asked when the "just let me die" option would appear because she thought Yuko was way too friendly. She was convinced Yuko was the same type of girl as Akari Fujibayashi. Senahan didn't like that and defended Akari, saying she was a good person. Yuko said she hoped she and Yozora could become close friends, but Yozora believed Yuko would end up betraying her eventually. When Yozora looked at her character stats, she realized her character didn't have any useful skills, so she decided to start leveling up her intelligence. At one point, she was in the library studying. Suddenly, a guy wearing glasses approached her and offered to help her study. Rika was immediately into the guy with glasses. Sena, however, said he looked like the girl's version of Yukiko, and that his appearance was just average. Kodaka said the guy's name was Tuma Suzutsuki, and he was the smartest student in school. Kodaka wondered why Yozora didn't pick him to help her study. Toma asked if Yozora often came to the library to study. He said he wanted to get to know her better. Yozora, on the other hand, was convinced that behind Tuda's serious appearance, he was just another pervy glasses guy. So she decided to send him away, not wanting to be bothered. Tuma, however, said he admired her strong will to handle everything on her own, but he also reminded her that it was okay to ask for help sometimes. He offered to be there for her if she ever needed assistance. Then the game prompted her to go on a date with Tuma. Yozora thought that was too much trouble and figured it'd be better to just avoid the library and do other things. So she started doing sports, painting, shopping for clothes, and even washing dishes. Eventually, her character's stats got better. Yozora really liked that because it felt more like her. Kodaka was surprised she gave up all those chances to go on dates. Rika said the main character's school life seemed way too sad, and she couldn't take it anymore. Sana agreed, feeling sorry for the main character too. Then Yozora ran into some delinquents. She felt confident she could take them on, especially since her character had 380 power. But she was confused why there was no option to fight them. Kodaka explained that the game wasn't that kind of genre. As the delinquents closed in on her character, a guy suddenly showed up and helped Yozora fight them off. He seemed to know who Yozora was, saying she was pretty well known. His name was Eiji Nagatani. He told her that place wasn't suitable for a well-respected girl like her, and he told her to get out of there quickly. After that, Yozora got a chance to go on a date with Eiji. This time she took it. Rika figured Yozora was into that kind of guy. Yozora denied it, saying it was just a boost for daily stats. Kodaka said he did not like guys like that because their gaze felt intense and creepy, they acted recklessly, and they had no manners. To his surprise, Yozora, Rika, and Sena all said that descriptions sounded just like Kodaka. In the story, Yozora asked Eiji out on a date for the following week at the batting center, and Eiji agreed. During the date, Eiji said Yozora was not bad, even pointing out that her hairstyle looked different that day. Sena commented that for a delinquent, Eiji was surprisingly thoughtful. Rika added that if only Kodaka could be as observant as Eiji and actually notice things like a girl's hairstyle. According to Rika, whenever a girl changed her hairstyle, Kodaka should at least comment on it. Better yet, compliment. Kodaka responded by saying that he had already mentioned before that Yozora looked better with short hair. Yozora was caught off guard and told Kodaka not to bring that up. Rika asked if that meant Kodaka had just complimented Yozora. But instead of answering directly, Kodaka realized that Rika had also been changing her hairstyle quite often lately. Rika was surprised and asked why he never said anything, especially since she had been trying to get his attention. That made her feel sad. Kodaka admitted that he had always been paying attention to her. Otherwise, he would not have known what she was planning. Rika said it was too late for him to say that now. It was pointless. If only he had complimented her from the start, he would have already earned a bunch of love points from her. She added that she probably should not be saying that, but she was just that easy to win over. If this were an eroge, they would have already done a bunch of inappropriate things by now. Kodaka was confused about why he needed to earn love points from her. Suddenly, Rika yelled in frustration. She said she was not feeling well and was heading to the science lab to cool off. Yozora called Rika a pitiful girl. At that point, Yozora seemed unsure about something, maybe because Eiji had started to like her. Kodaka said it was obvious that Eiji had fallen for her. But then Eiji suddenly asked Yozora to stop seeing him. He said that Yozora was a top student and the student council president, and if she kept hanging out with a delinquent like him, it would ruin her reputation. Right then, Yozora slapped Eiji and asked if he thought she was the kind of person who only cared about her reputation. She made it clear that she would decide for herself who she wanted to be with. Then she told him to stay with her from that moment on forever. Sena said Yozora looked so cool at that moment. In the end, Yozora graduated and got into a prestigious university. But she had no friends at all and had spent the last 3 years feeling lonely. Maybe she needed to treat people more kindly. Sena was annoyed that her story ended like that and wondered what happened to Eiji's character. Out of nowhere, Rika came in and said Yozora had missed an important flag. She asked why Yozora had not gotten close with Yuko or any of the other male characters. That was when Yozora finally realized her mistake. Rika told her not to worry about it. Failure was normal in games. All she needed to do was learn from her mistake and come back with a revenge run. But Yozora said she was done. If that was how her life was going to go, then she would just live it her own way. She apologized for calling the game trash earlier, saying that it was actually pretty interesting, especially because it gave her a friend like that delinquent guy who had no real-life friends. The next day, when Kodaka walked into the neighbor's club room, Rika greeted him. Kodaka noticed that her appearance had changed again. Rika said she had switched up her hairstyle and asked if he noticed anything else. Kodaka took a guess, asking if she had shaved her head or changed her hair tie, but both guesses were wrong. He then asked why her hair had been dyed blonde and if she was planning to become a delinquent. Rika said she just wanted to try coloring it. She was not worried about hair damage because she had used a special dye. That dye was her own invention, and it would not damage hair at all. If she used a second liquid that came with it, the hair color would return to normal in no time. According to Kodaka, most of Rika's inventions felt kind of bland. He mentioned that she had created things like computer programs, a room lamp that couldn't be turned off, an electric pot that could cook without a heat source, and even an automatic insect catching system. While he admitted all of them were useful in their own way, he felt like none of them had any sense of romance. Rika then asked what she should create instead. Kodaka suggested she build a giant robot, something he personally liked. Rika was shocked that his very first suggestion was such a massive, international-scale project. Kodaka then threw out more ideas. What about a 5-dimensional bag? But apparently that was even more complicated than building a giant robot. He kept going, suggesting a flashlight that could make things bigger or smaller, a cloth that could repair broken items, jelly that could let people understand all kinds of languages, or even a time machine. That day, Rika showed Kodaka and the others something she claimed was a working time machine. She said it could let a person's consciousness travel back into the past. Kodaka was skeptical, but Rika insisted he try it out. She strapped the device to Kodaka's head and set it so he would go back 5 minutes. Yozora asked if Rika was sure it was safe. Rika asked everyone to trust her. Once everything was ready, Rika told Kodaka to think about the moment in the past he wanted to visit. Then, when he opened his eyes, he found himself back in a memory, standing in a playground and meeting young Yozora, who he used to call Sora. Kodaka was shocked to see that his body had also turned into a child's. Yozora told him not to forget their promise for tomorrow before she headed home, but Kodaka suddenly called out to her using her real name, Yozora. She looked confused, wondering how he knew her real name. Kodaka explained that starting tomorrow, he would be moving away from the town and wouldn't return for 10 years. So tomorrow would be their last day together. He apologized and told her they'd always be friends no matter what and that he'd never forget her. He apologized again, but suddenly, Yozora tried to hit him and transformed into the demon Astaroth, launching an attack. Kodaka screamed out her name and woke up. Seeing that, Rika immediately removed the device and asked if he was okay. Apparently, more than 5 minutes had already passed, which was why he had come back to the present moment. Rika apologized and admitted that she had lied about it being a real time machine. The truth was that Kodaka had just been put to sleep using hypnosis, and what he saw in his dream was shaped by what he truly wished for. Originally, she only meant it as a joke, but it seemed like Kodaka had a nightmare. Rika apologized again. Kodaka instead apologized to her for making fun of her inventions. He said that the time machine was actually amazing. Even though things went a little off the rails, it truly felt like he had traveled through time. He was grateful because the device had allowed him to finally say the things he had always wanted to say, even if it was just in a dream. Rika then asked if he really felt like he had gone back in time during a dream. Kodaka replied that it felt exactly like going back 10 years. Sena, curious, asked if Kodaka's dream had taken place 10 years ago. How was Yozora still in it? Sena asked Kodaka why Yozora appeared in his dream if it was about something that happened 10 years ago. Kodaka was confused and had no idea what she was talking about. Rika chimed in, saying that while he was dreaming, he had shouted Yozora's name. Yozora responded that there was nothing strange about that since she and Kodaka were childhood friends. Everyone was stunned by that revelation. Yozora explained that she and Kodaka used to play together all the time before he moved away from the city 10 years ago. That was why they were called childhood friends, or maybe even just friends. Segna then asked why Yozora had never told the rest of the neighbors' club about it. Yozora replied that there was no reason to tell anyone. Rika had suspected as much and commented that childhood friends were basically like ex-friends. The next day, Kodaka returned to the neighbor's club room. When he opened the door, he felt like everything was back to normal. Kodaka mentioned that the school festival was coming up soon, but Yozora said he had just stepped on a landmine. According to her, there was no such thing as a school festival, and she didn't even know what that phrase meant. Kodaka admitted that he did know about their school's upcoming festival. Yozora claimed that school festivals were just events created by popular people for popular people. Kodaka realized that for people like them, the school festival didn't really matter. Suddenly, Sana objected to being lumped in with the rest of them. She pointed out that while Kodaka didn't know much since he was new, she had been a star at last year's festival. Rika remembered it too, since she had received a special invitation from the principal and got to watch it from the VIP section. Sena then asked Rika to explain to the others how amazing her performance had been. Back then, Sena had participated in almost every event in the sports festival. The 200-meter dash, the relay race, the obstacle course, the bread-eating race, the marathon, and the three-legged race. She had taken part in nearly everything, and won them all. Kodaka admitted that was pretty impressive. It turned out Sena hadn't only participated in the sports festival, but the cultural festival as well. Rika recalled how Sena's class had put on a play where Sena defeated a villain with a sword. Rika explained that most of the guys were just enjoying the way Sena's chest bounced around while she was running, and the fact that her underwear often showed during the stage performance. Sena was shocked to learn that the cheers hadn't actually been for her impressive acting or athletic ability. Yozora remarked that fake praise and misfortune were a perfect match for Sena. She even suggested they start calling her Princess Misfortune. Offended, Sena fired back by calling Yozora flat chest. Yozora said what they really needed to do was sit back and let the popular crowd handle the festival activities. Just as she was about to ask Kodaka to join her, Sena suddenly suggested that their club should host an event for the school festival. She pointed out that clubs usually did something to participate in the festival. Kodaka agreed with her idea. He even saw it as a kind of practice for when they eventually made real friends. Surprisingly, the others were on board too. Yozora reluctantly agreed as well, saying the neighbors' club would join the cultural festival that year, and they would drag the popular kids into a festival straight from the deepest pits of hell with their own hands. Everyone nodded in agreement. Kodaka felt slightly uneasy hearing Yozora mention hell so casually. Yozora then asked what kind of event they should plan. Sena suggested a maid cafe, but Yozora immediately shut it down. Sena got annoyed and asked why Yozora didn't even consider it, especially since maid cafes were pretty normal for cultural festivals. Yozora insisted there was no way she would serve other people. Kodaka agreed it was clearly not something Yozora would ever do. Rika also understood, especially the part about dressing up in a maid outfit. Just imagining that scenario made Sena double over, clutching her stomach, trying not to laugh. She said it was the kind of ridiculous joke that gave people stomach cramps from laughing too hard. Yozora admitted that she really was not good at serving others, though she felt that the same could be said for everyone else. Kodaka said that if it was just about taking table orders, he could probably handle it, even though he had never done it before. Sena laughed and said that if Kodaka were the one serving, all the customers would probably run away. Kodaka insisted that he could at least be polite, but Rika seemed skeptical. Kodaka then asked Rika if she could serve customers. Rika told him not to underestimate her and then turned to Yozora to ask if the maid uniform Yukimura used to wear was still available. Yozora went to get it right away and Rika quickly changed her clothes because she wanted to show everyone. She told Kodaka to close his eyes since she was changing right there. Once she finished getting dressed, she told Kodaka to open his eyes. Just by looking at Kodaka's expression, Rika could tell what he was thinking, something along the lines of, "Oh, so Rika changed outfits." Rika called him an idiot, especially because he had actually closed his eyes when he was supposed to sneak a peek. Kodaka was confused by her reasoning. Rika called him an emotionless pudding and told him to leave the room and then come back in. Kodaka stepped out and commented that Rika's words had become seriously harsh lately. Not long after, he came back in, only for Rika to step on his foot and call him lazy. Kodaka had no idea why she was treating him like that. Rika told him to sit down. When he did, she kicked him again and said that he seemed to understand what a kick meant, but not what it meant to sit. She went on to call him useless, stupid, and an untrained dog. Rika kept insulting and hitting Kodaka. In Kodaka's mind, being a tsundere did not give Rika a free pass to do whatever she wanted, but Rika clearly did not care. She suddenly scolded him again for sitting in that chair, and when Kodaka asked where he was supposed to sit, she kicked the back of his knee and told him to sit in a chair invisible to idiots. Then Rika served him a coffee in a rough manner and said it cost 100,900 yen. Kodaka pointed out that she was forcing people to pay for coffee they had not ordered. Rika paid no mind to his comment. Instead, she told Kodaka to take off his pants and expose a part of his body that sunlight could not reach, then told him to savor the scent of his inner thighs and the coffee together as a complete experience. Kodaka asked if they could please just stop already. Hearing that, Rika suddenly switched to being cheerful and politely asked him to come again. She then asked Kodaka how she did in her role as a tsundere maid. Kodaka said that instead of charming him, Rika ended up tearing his heart apart. Rika was surprised, especially because she had thought Kodaka would actually like it. Yozora said she had no idea what part of that anyone was supposed to like, though she admitted Rika's appearance was pretty good. Unfortunately, Yukimura said it still lacked something. Rika understood since Yukimura used to be a maid and clearly took the role seriously. Yukimura explained that being a maid meant devoting oneself entirely to their master. Yozora then suggested that Sana show everyone what being a proper maid looked like. Sana told Kodaka to step outside so she could change. Kodaka asked if it would be okay if he just closed his eyes, but Sana firmly refused, saying Kodaka had already peeked on her twice. Kodaka had no memory of this. After waiting outside for a while, Kodaka was called back in by Sana. When he opened the door, Sana, now dressed in a maid outfit, greeted him kindly. Kodaka was stunned by how tight the maid outfit looked on her. Sana told him to stop staring and wondered aloud why they had such a tight outfit for maids in the first place. The outfit looked incredibly sexy on her. Sana asked Kodaka what he would like to order, offering him a special sandwich, a special cake, special tea, and special coffee. Kodaka ordered a cup of coffee and Sana quickly made it and served it to him. Kodaka asked how she managed to pull off such a convincing prank. According to Sana, it was nothing special. She just copied Stella. Rika realized that made sense since Sana had a professional maid at home. Yozora then questioned how Sana could know how to act like a maid cafe server when all she had to copy was a housemaid. But Kodaka pointed out that even if she was just imitating, she did it really well. Sana got a little flustered and said she had to chant a spell to make the coffee taste better. She ended up saying moe moe in a cutesy tone and acted adorable. Yozora saw this and started calling her out repeatedly until Sana finally confessed that she visited maid cafes every weekend. Embarrassed, she ran out of the room crying. After that, Yozora suggested they cross maid cafe off the idea list. That afternoon, most of the neighbors' club had already gone home and only Yozora remained in the room. Kodaka returned because there was something he wanted to ask her. But when he opened the club room door, he was shocked to find Yozora wearing a maid outfit. She panicked and didn't even get a chance to explain before Kodaka quickly closed the door again. The next morning at breakfast, Kodaka asked Kobato if she still had remedial classes that day. Kobato said the suffering that had haunted her for 2 weeks would finally end that day. Kodaka reminded her not to fail again next semester. Later that day, the neighbors' club gathered again to discuss their participation in the school festival. Kodaka suggested setting up a fortune-telling booth. Sana asked if he really believed in that kind of thing. Kodaka admitted he didn't, but said a lot of people, especially high school girls, seemed to believe in it. Sana said she didn't believe in fortunes at all, since she was someone chosen by the gods and always had great luck. Yozora agreed that Sana did seem lucky, but claimed her luck had already peaked. According to her, Sana had no friends, was disliked by classmates, always ended up alone during PE, and whenever it came time to pick groups for things like economics or school trips, the girls would say she should just join the boys' group instead. That, Yozora said, was the kind of happiness that was far from normal. Sana was confused by Yozora's harsh words, but Rika encouraged her to keep pushing forward with her life, and Yukimura expressed concern for her. Yozora then said the fortune-telling booth might actually work out. Kodaka asked if she actually believed in fortunes, but she said no. She told them that back in middle school, she spent nearly 3 months obsessively checking horoscopes in every magazine, newspaper, and TV show she could find. She even took notes on everything that happened each day. After all that, she calculated how accurate the horoscopes had been and found that none of them had more than a 70% success rate. That's why she stopped believing in them. Rika was surprised Yozora had gone to such lengths and joked that she sounded like a horoscope maniac. Kodaka then asked why she still wanted to set up a fortune-telling booth. Yozora explained that all they had to do was say a bunch of nonsense and take money from the foolish popular kids who actually believed it. There was nothing more entertaining than that, she said. Everyone called Yozora evil and said she was full of darkness. Yozora then offered to give Sana a fortune reading as an example. She asked if there was anything troubling Sana, something related to her relationships with others. Sana admitted there was. Yozora said she could see a light purple mist rising from Sana's body, and that color represented emotional confusion. Based on the shape of the mist, she said it was clearly connected to someone else. Sana was impressed and believed her. Yozora went on to say that she knew everything about Sana. She said that Sana was the kind of person who rarely thought about the past but often felt regret. She had talents that exceeded others in a certain field but couldn't make full use of them, which caused her deep discomfort. Even though Sana came off as relaxed and optimistic, she was often faced with big decisions that weighed heavily on her. According to Yozora, when Sana smiled, what she actually felt inside was loneliness. Sana couldn't believe how Yozora knew all of that. Kodaka quietly whispered to Riko what that kind of situation was called. Rika said it was known as the Barnum effect, a psychological phenomenon where someone believes another person knows everything about them just because they said something that happens to be true. Sana was surprised that Yozora seemed to understand her so well, and it made her feel a little happy. According to Rika, Sana was already in the palm of Yozora's hand. Yozora told Sena that she was a good person, though a bit awkward, so she offered to share a way to make her life feel more meaningful. Yozora instructed her to go to the rooftop that night, stand with a bowl of water on her head, spin around 3 times while shouting the words "sexy beam" as loud as she could. If not a single drop spilled, then the moon would bless her and her life would become much happier. Sena sincerely thanked Yozora and admitted she had misjudged her. Hearing that, Yozora could barely hold back her laughter. That night, Sena sent a message to Kodaka saying her father had smacked her hard on the butt, but she would endure it for the sake of her happiness. Kodaka couldn't believe she actually went through with it. Feeling bad for her, he suggested she look up what the Barnum effect really meant. The next day, Sena shouted Yozora's name in frustration. She scolded Yozora for tricking her, but Yozora acted like she had no idea what she was talking about. Sena said all of Yozora's predictions from the other day were just nonsense. Kodaka told Sena not to feel too down about it. He pointed out that doing weird things and getting yelled at by her dad wasn't exactly out of the ordinary. Sena said that wasn't what upset her. What hurt was that, for a moment, she had actually felt happy, thinking Yozora understood her. Through tears, she called Yozora an idiot. Kodaka then suggested they all head to the clubroom. As soon as they opened the door, Sena's mood instantly lifted when she saw Kobato. She rushed over, excitedly asking Kobato a few things, though it clearly scared her. Sena said she felt lucky to run into Kobato that day. Yozora remarked that it seemed like Sena's luck had finally turned around, and Sena agreed. Kodaka explained that Kobato had just finished her makeup exams, which was why she could come to the clubroom. Sena realized it had nothing to do with Yozora's magic. She admitted she really hated how Yozora just did whatever she wanted, but she decided to forgive her since Kobato was there. Kodaka gently patted Kobato on the head and greeted her. Rika then asked if they were still planning to run a fortune-telling booth for the cultural festival, mentioning she had brought some reference books just in case. Yozora suggested they should just drop the whole fortune-telling idea. At that moment, Kodaka remembered that Kobato's birthday was coming up next week on October 18. When he mentioned it, Sena immediately said they had to throw a birthday party for her. That day, Sena sent a message to Kodaka to let him know about Kobato's birthday. She asked him to come with her to Nagaya to buy a birthday present for Kobato. Kodaka agreed, and they decided to meet at Tuya Station on Sunday at 1 p.m. Not long after that, Rika sent a message to Kodaka. She said she had seen a lot of utility poles on both sides of the road, which got her excited as she imagined being bound tightly to them. Kodaka replied with a blunt, noisy. Then Rika told him to read the first letter of each sentence in her message. When he did, it turned out the message was actually a hidden invitation for a date the next day. Of course, Kodaka immediately turned her down. However, Rika begged him to help her choose a birthday gift for Kobato. Shortly after, Yukimura also sent him a message. It was written rather formally with a long opening, but the main point was that she wanted Kodaka's opinion on what kind of gift would be good for Kobato's birthday. That Yozora sent a message too, asking Kodaka to help her pick out a birthday gift for Kobato the next day. Her message was also quite long and made Kodaka too lazy to read it properly. On Sunday, Kodaka and his friends gathered at Tuya Station. Once everyone was there, Kodaka suggested they go together. Inside the train car, Yozora asked him why everyone had ended up tagging along. Kodaka explained that since they all wanted to get Kobato a present, he thought it would be better if they just chose the gift together. Sena admitted she didn't really mind, but she also didn't exactly like it. She was upset at how casually Kodaka acted, as if it was nothing. Unfortunately, Kodaka didn't understand what Sena meant. Rika noticed how things had turned out and wondered why Kodaka hadn't picked up on it. When Kodaka called her name, she instead commented that she found him pretty interesting. Kodaka then asked why Rika was wearing a lab coat. Rika asked if there was anything wrong with her outfit. Kodaka pointed out that she had been changing her hairstyles lately, but not her clothes, and said it seemed a little weird. He also mentioned that she seemed to be focusing more on what's underneath, which made her look fuller. Rika was surprised that Kodaka had noticed. She said it didn't make much sense to focus on clothes, especially since he had acted indifferent when she changed in front of him the other day. Kodaka told her she was cute and would look even cuter if she wore something that suited her. Apparently, the others overheard that. Rika then asked Sena if she had any store recommendations since Rika wanted to buy some new clothes. She said she admired Sena's fashion sense and wanted to know where she usually shopped. Sena admitted that she rarely went to Nagaya and usually bought clothes from brand-name stores near her home. Kodaka pointed out that there were only mountains and valleys near Sena's house. Sena then apologized and confessed that she had lied. She admitted that Stella handled all her outfits and was also the one who did her hair and makeup. Rika turned to Yozora and asked about her clothes. Yozora replied that she usually shopped online and often bought full outfits based on what she saw in magazines or fashion websites she followed. Rika asked if that meant every outfit in a fashion magazine fit Yozora perfectly. She said she was jealous and told Yozora she looked really cute that day. Yozora was surprised Rika said that. Rika explained that Yozora looked feminine, cute, and even sexy that day. Yozora got irritated and told Rika not to say random things like that. She claimed that the outfit she was wearing was actually the most tomboyish one she found in the magazine. Kodaka chimed in, saying that being tomboyish doesn't mean someone has to look like a boy. Rika added that the point of the style was to highlight a girl's cuteness in a way that stands out more. Kodaka agreed and said that made more sense anyway. Besides, he didn't think any guy would want to wear clothes that exposed their stomach and thighs like that. Yozora looked extremely embarrassed. When they arrived in Nagaya, Yozora said she wanted to go shopping but didn't want Kodaka to come with her. Rika then said she wanted to join Yozora instead, and Kodaka told Yukimura to go along with them and keep an eye on both of them to make sure they wouldn't faint in the middle of the crowd. After Yozora, Rika, and Yukimura left, Kodaka invited Sena to take a look around the area. Sena asked Kodaka what kind of gift could increase her love points with Kobato. She wondered if something Kuroneko-themed would work, but Kodaka told her that Kobato already had plenty of those. He also reminded Sena not to pick something too expensive. Hearing that, Sena said Kodaka sounded like a parent. She then asked what he thought she should buy instead. Kodaka said it should be something that makes her happy. Shockingly, Sena suggested getting lingerie, which Kodaka immediately rejected. He told her that he actually knew the one thing Kobato would definitely love as a birthday gift: meat. But he clarified that by meat, he didn't mean Sena, who Yozora often referred to as meat, but actual meat to eat. It turned out Kobato loved all kinds of meat, so according to Kodaka, she would be really happy if Sena gave her that. Sena then asked if it wasn't rude to give food as a birthday present. Kodaka couldn't believe he was getting lectured about something so normal. He saw a store that sold cooking pots and got super interested in checking it out. Sena didn't expect to end up spending a whole hour helping Kodaka shop for pots. Afterward, they got drinks at the food court, and she asked what was so fun about picking out pots. Kodaka told her not to compare default pots with ordinary ones. Sena said Kodaka was really weird. Kodaka asked why guys weren't allowed to like cooking tools, but that wasn't the only thing Sena found strange. Kodaka mentioned how Yozora was taking forever with her shopping. Sena thought that was totally normal since girls usually take their time when shopping. She said Gal Games had taught her that. Then Sena asked what Kodaka thought about Yozora, Rika, and Yukimura, and also whether he ever wanted a girlfriend. But Kodaka said he was just looking for friends at the moment. He didn't think someone as boring as him, who didn't even have friends, could ever get a girlfriend. Sena disagreed and said he wasn't that kind of person at all. Kodaka asked what Sena thought about his past friendship with Yozora. Sena admitted she was surprised when she first heard about it, but after thinking it through, she realized it wasn't a big deal. That was all in the past, and what mattered was the present. She said even though she didn't really know what Yozora wanted, she had no intention of losing to her. Sena asked Kodaka to remember her words clearly. She said she had once cared about someone, and that meant there was no way that person could ever be boring. Kodaka and Sena later met back up with the others. Rika asked what Kodaka thought of her outfit. A shop clerk had recommended it to her, so she ended up buying it. Kodaka told her that she could definitely pull it off if she tried, and Rika took that as a compliment. Yukimura asked Kodaka what he thought of her appearance too, saying it was Yozora who had picked the outfit for her. Kodaka said she looked pretty good, and that it suited her well. Yozora, on the other hand, showed up wearing a tracksuit. Sena was confused about her choice of outfit. Yozora said she wasn't feeling well. She mentioned she had bought the tracksuit at a sports shop and that she felt like the city didn't really match her vibe. So she decided she'd just grab a random gift from the nearest store. Rika also decided to head home. On October 18th, Kodaka and the others held a small birthday party for Kobato in the clubroom. Sena asked why the party felt so simple. Kodaka explained that none of them really knew how to throw a proper birthday party. Kodaka sent a message to Kobato, telling her to come to the clubroom. Not long after, a message tone rang out just outside the door, and Kodaka was surprised. Kobato was already there but hadn't come in. As soon as Kobato opened the door, Sena shot a party streamer at her and wished her a happy birthday. Yukimura and Rika did the same. Sena then brought out a birthday cake for Kobato. Kobato looked happy, but she was shocked to see the cake decorated with an image of herself and Sena. Yozora commented that Sena always did disgusting things. Sena responded by saying it was a cake filled with love. After Kodaka lit the candles, everyone sang the birthday song, but they were totally out of sync. Some called her just Kobato. Others said, "Dear Kobato," and someone even said, "Boss's little sister." After that, Kobato blew out the candles with a smile, and they all ate the cake together. Yozora intentionally smashed the part of the cake that had Santa's face on it. Kobato received several birthday presents: a book from Yozora, some aromatherapy candles from Rika, a protective charm from Yukimura, and meat from Sena. Seeing that, Yozora called Sena a cannibal. Kodaka then told Kobato that he would make sukiyaki for her that night. Sena told Kobato to think about her while eating, so it would taste better. On the way home, Kobato was so excited about the sukiyaki that she could hardly wait. It was clearly a beautiful day for her, and she looked truly happy. Kodaka told Kobato to go home ahead of him since he needed to buy ingredients for the sukiyaki. That night, he caught Kate sneaking around near his house. Startled, Kate asked why Kodaka was there. Kodaka replied that it was his house and asked what she was doing there. Kate explained that she thought it would be fun to play hide and seek inside, but Kodaka obviously said no. Not long after, Maria appeared and greeted Kodaka. Kodaka asked if Kate had brought her over, and Maria confirmed it, surprised to see that Kate was still there. Kate reminded Maria that she had said she would owe her forever, and Maria immediately ran inside the house. Kodaka invited Kate to join them for sukiyaki, and of course she didn't turn it down. Kobato couldn't believe how such a perfect day was now being interrupted by Maria. It was Kate's first time meeting Kobato, and she commented that Kobato was the biological little sister of her older brother. Kobato was shocked to hear Kate refer to Kodaka that way. Frustrated, she complained that Kodaka kept getting more little sisters. Kodaka tried to calm her down, explaining that it was Kate who chose to call him that. He then asked why Maria suddenly wanted to visit their house. Kate said that Maria had something for Kobato. Kobato responded sarcastically, questioning why a cursed church caretaker had come to the house of the Princess of the Night. Kate asked if Kobato was okay, and Kodaka told her not to worry since Kobato was always like that. Kate then told Maria to give Kobato her present. Maria got annoyed that Kate said it out loud but handed over the gift anyway, telling Kobato to be thankful since she had come all that way just to give her something. According to her, birthdays were an exception, so even vampires got presents. It turned out to be a key-shaped necklace. Maria said Kobato was a wicked creature, and with the help of holy power, she could become a good girl. Kobato replied, asking if Maria seriously thought divine power could restrain her. As usual, the two of them started bickering. Kodaka served the sukiyaki at the table. Maria was overjoyed and said it was delicious, quickly jumping in to help set the plates. Kodaka reminded Kobato to thank Maria. Kobato quietly said thank you and asked Maria to repeat it because she claimed she didn't hear. After the meal, both Kobato and Maria fell asleep on the couch. Kate thanked Kodaka for the trouble, while Kodaka was left wondering how they had gone through 2 kilograms of meat when he only got to eat 2 slices himself. After having a full meal, Kate started to feel sleepy and asked if she could stay over. Kodaka allowed her to, though he found himself wondering whether she was really just 15 years old. Kate explained that she had actually turned 16 last week, and she showed him a gift she had received from Maria, a pendant made from a hardened cricket. Kobato, on the other hand, had received a matching key necklace with Maria. Kodaka commented that it seemed like Kate had been through a lot. Kate replied that it was simply her responsibility as the older sister. Around that time, Maria woke up, and Kate let her know that they were staying at Kodaka's place for the night. She then told Maria to go take a bath, but Maria insisted on bathing with Kodaka instead. Kate ended up dragging Maria away, while Kodaka quickly went to prepare some clean clothes for her. Not long after, a commotion broke out between Kobato and Kate in the bathroom. As he knocked on the bathroom door, Maria suddenly ran out and headed toward Kobato's room. At that moment, Kodaka accidentally saw Kate undressed in the bathroom. Kate called him a pervert, and Kodaka immediately placed the clothes down and shut the door right away. He apologized sincerely, and Kate forgave him right away, saying she knew it was an honest mistake and there was no bad intention behind it. She told him he was a good guy. No wonder Pegasus liked him. Curious, Kodaka asked if Kate was friends with Pegasus. It turned out they were fishing buddies and both loved catching salmon. Kate even invited Kodaka to join her next time she went fishing. The next morning, Kate said goodbye as she got ready to head home. Before leaving, she told Kodaka that she wished he were really her older brother, or maybe that they had some other kind of connection. But unfortunately, she said, Kodaka already belonged to Sena. Kodaka didn't quite understand what she meant by that at the time, and it wasn't until later that it finally hit him. That day, Kodaka expressed his gratitude to the members of the Friendship Club for celebrating Kobato's birthday party the day before. He mentioned that Kobato seemed very happy during the celebration, which made him thankful to everyone. Sena was surprised and wondered why Kodaka was doing something so embarrassing. Yozora said that the birthday party had indeed been very enjoyable and she encouraged them all to make friends so they could celebrate together like that. The party reminded Kodaka how joyful it was to have friends, which made him feel more motivated. Sena said that this had been their plan from the start, and Yukimura agreed with Kodaka's statement. Rika then reminded them to continue preparing for the cultural festival. Kodaka was not fully prepared yet, but he already understood what Rika meant. Shortly after, Kodaka took Kobato to the club room. Sena felt happy and even wanted to lick her, but Yozora immediately slapped her face. At that moment, Yukimura was writing down several plans for the festival preparations. Yozora asked what was meant by a cat cafe. Rika explained that it was a type of cafe where visitors could relax while playing with cats. Rika then wondered if such a paradise really existed in this rotten world. Kodaka asked Sena if it was true that her class would perform a presentation titled A History of Tuya City. Sena said that she had suggested a special presentation about the great goddess Sena, but the girls in her class had rejected the idea, which made her upset. Yozora proposed that they cancel the exhibition because it sounded boring. Kodaka disagreed because that was their main idea, but everyone else agreed to cancel it. Even Kobato said their decision was the right one. Kodaka asked Kobato why she was not helping with the cultural festival preparations at her school and what her class would be presenting. Kobato said it was none of their business. Kodaka threatened not to make her meet Raymond again if she did not tell him. Kobato laughed and said Kodaka was bold to treat the Great Night Queen, racist v. Felicity Sumeragi, like that. Kodaka even mentioned that he was going to eat all the leftover meat from yesterday. Hearing that, Kobato finally revealed that her class would be showing a film for the school festival. Kodaka asked what role she would play. Kobato shyly said that her friends had chosen her for the lead role. Kodaka praised her for that, and Sena could not wait to watch the film. Kodaka then asked if it was a problem that the lead actress was someone like Kobato. He suspected that Kobato might be trying to avoid the role. Kodaka advised her to take the role seriously, especially since it was the lead. He also said many people did not get any roles, so this was a great opportunity for her. Kodaka encouraged Kobato to do her best, saying that it meant others needed her, and that was a good thing. Kobato agreed. Kodaka called Kobato his beloved Great Night Queen, racist v. Felicity Sumeragi. Hearing that, Kobato immediately smiled and hurried off to her school. Yozora then decided that their club should make a film for the school festival, and everyone agreed with the idea. Rika asked what theme they would choose. Yozora said she was willing to write the script, but Sena refused, saying she was sure that if Yozora wrote it, the result would be a mess. Yozora was surprised and asked if Sena did not trust her artistic soul. Kodaka reminded everyone of what had happened when they wrote a novel before. Yozora admitted that she was at fault back then and asked for their suggestions. Kodaka proposed that there should be no rape scenes. Yozora was shocked, and Sena had already guessed that Yozora would want to use that theme. Suddenly, Maria came into the club room. Rika told her to ask everyone for advice. Kodaka suggested making a story about a transfer student who initially had no friends because the other students misunderstood her, but in the end, the transfer student became popular at the school. Sena admitted that she didn't want to take a role unless it was a good one. Maria said that for her, the most important thing was having delicious food. Yukimura won the role of a samurai. Rika wanted to add a scene featuring a romantic relationship between two men. Kodaka then asked if all of those ideas could be combined into one. Yozora was confident that she could create a masterpiece out of it. That night, Yozora sent a message to Kodaka. As usual, her message was very long-winded, but the main point was that she wanted to invite Kodaka to watch a movie for reference. She sent another message saying she didn't want to watch it with a lot of people and forbade Kodaka from contacting anyone else. Kodaka agreed to that. The next day, Kodaka and Yozora met at Tuya Station. Kodaka was surprised to see Yozora wearing an all-black sports outfit, the same one he had bought for her before. Kodaka asked which movie they were going to watch, but Yozora said she hadn't decided yet and suggested they pick one randomly. Yozora picked a movie, and to their surprise, it contained a lot of explicit scenes. After the movie ended, Kodaka asked if Yozora had gotten any ideas. Yozora said obviously not, and she hadn't expected the movie to be so risque. She wondered if Kodaka wanted to try doing those kinds of things, but then quickly dismissed the thought. Instead, she invited Kodaka to have some tea before heading home. Kodaka pointed out that the cafe was in the opposite direction, but Yozora said there was a specific cafe she wanted to visit. It turned out that Yozora wanted to go to a cat cafe. She looked really happy playing with the cats there. Kodaka commented that Yozora must really like cats. According to Yozora, there was no person who hated cats. Kodaka asked if she kept a cat at home, but Yozora said she lived in an apartment. Even if she didn't live in an apartment, she still wouldn't be able to keep a cat. Kodaka asked why that was. Yozora mentioned if Kodaka still remembered Night, the black cat they often played with when they were little but suddenly disappeared. Yozora admitted she had been very sad about losing something important in her life. That was why she didn't want to get into relationships if it would only hurt her, but she didn't mind if it was just for fun. After that, Yozora said goodbye and asked Kodaka to wait for her until she finished her script. Before leaving, she said the day felt like it was 10 years ago. Kodaka said it was like reminiscing about the past. The next day, Yozora had finished her script and said she had completed it perfectly. Rika asked if they could start making the movie right away. That day, Rika was dressed like Reese's V, although she couldn't say the full name properly. Sana called her a fake. They all read the script Yozora had written. Sana and Yukimura said the script was really good, and Rika couldn't believe it was actually written by Yozora. Kodaka called Yozora a genius because the script was really well done. Rika decided to use that script for their movie. Yozora had already decided on the cast. Of course, Yozora herself would play the lead role Kuya. Kodaka would play Hirotaka, the transfer student and Kuya's childhood friend. Sana would play Sana, the class center of attention who always opposed them until the end. Yukimura would be Nobuyuki, a shy boy who admired Hirotaka. Rika would play Sarika, a girl who kept teasing Hirotaka and Kuya. Maria would play Mary, Hirotaka's little sister who really hated her older brother. Sana objected, asking why Yozora had to be the lead while she herself had to play the villain. Yozora said she had read the entire script and chosen the cast accordingly. In her opinion, the character Sana was striking and the center of attention in the class. Yozora hated to admit it, but Sana was the perfect fit for that role. Although Sana's personality wasn't very likable, she was a good girl and had a lot of important scenes. Yozora said that role was quite good and Sana finally agreed. Suddenly, Rika said that while picking roles based on habits might be fine, if they did that, then Kodaka was given the wrong role. In the script, Hirotaka was a 17-year-old young man who was honest, mature, responsible, easy to communicate with, had a great sense of humor, and was sociable. He was smart, tall, athletic, with a handsome face. According to Rika, Kodaka did not resemble that character at all. Yozora did not expect Rika to notice that, and Sana even agreed that Kodaka didn't fit the personality of Hirotaka. Maria went further, saying Kodaka really wasn't cool at all. Then Rika asked why Yozora chose Kodaka to play Hirotaka. Yozora explained it was because Kodaka was her childhood friend and Hirotaka was Kuya's childhood friend, so she decided to have her own childhood friend play that role. Rika asked if that meant if Yozora wasn't playing Kuya, there was no reason for Kodaka to play Hirotaka. Rika then suggested they choose the cast based on voting and Sana quickly agreed. Yozora asked them not to decide so casually. Rika questioned if Yozora lacked confidence in not playing Kuya herself. Eventually, Yozora agreed as she had already expected things to turn out that way. After the vote, the decision was made. Yukimura would play Kuya, Yozora would play Hirotaka, Maria would take on Sana as Sarika, Rika as Nobuyuki, and Kodaka would play Mary, Hirotaka's younger sister. Kodaka asked why things ended up like that. He was confused about who actually chose him to play a younger sister's role. He suspected Sana was behind it. Sana explained she thought it would be interesting. According to Sana, she wasn't the only one who voted for Kodaka as Mary. There were actually 2 votes, including Maria's. Maria reasoned that since Kodaka always played the older brother to her, it would be nice if he could take on a different role for a change. Rika realized that after mixing everyone's ideas, the results just became weird. Kodaka also said it was impossible for him to play a younger sister. He suggested they revote. Suddenly, Yukimura was seen crying. Seeing that, Kodaka encouraged him, and Yukimura promised to give his best. Yozora then said she would change Mary into a younger brother. Sana apologized for troubling Yozora. Yozora instead called her annoying and asked if Sana was feeling unwell. Sana felt bad for causing Yozora extra work by having to rewrite the script. Yozora said changing the character from a younger sister to a younger brother wasn't difficult. The next day, Yozora handed out the new script. However, the story was completely changed. Sana wondered why Kotaru had to become Kuya's twin brother, when originally he was supposed to just replace Mary. Rika pointed out that Kotaru's role actually increased and became more important in the story, while the interactions between Hirotaka and Kuya felt awkward. Yozora explained that Hirotaka and Kuya were not actually friends because to Hirotaka, Kuya was a friend of a friend. Since Hirotaka always hung out with Kotaru, the 3 of them ended up spending a lot of time together. Kodaka felt sorry for Kuya and wondered why they didn't just become friends as a trio. Yozora said that a friend of a friend wasn't really a friend. According to her, they weren't 3 friends but 2 friends plus 1 outsider. Kodaka mentioned that he might have experienced something like that before. Sena asked why Yozora made Kuya the loner when she could have made Kotaru the loner instead, which wouldn't have changed the story much. Yozora said she couldn't do that because it was natural for Hirotaka and Kotaru to be friends. Sena guessed it was because Kodaka was Yozora's childhood friend and Yozora didn't deny it. Sena said that such an old-fashioned story no longer had any relevance. Yozora looked annoyed. Sena added that even if Yozora and Kodaka were once friends, it didn't matter anymore and wasn't Yozora's job to rewrite the script. Yozora said she understood how Sena felt. However, Sena insisted it had nothing to do with that and asked Yozora not to get stuck in the past and to focus on what needed to be done now. Yozora began to cry and said she wished Sena didn't exist. Then she shouted, calling Sena stupid before walking away. Sena admitted that she really hated Yozora, but never wished she didn't exist. As Kodaka was about to go home, he ran into Yozora on the stairs while she was heading back to the club room to grab her bag. Yozora asked him which he would choose, Hirotaka, Kuya's friend, or Kotaru's friend. Kodaka said he did not really mind as long as the storyline remained interesting. Yozora then said that she wanted to be Kodaka's childhood friend in the film. She asked which was more important to him, 10 years ago or the present time. Kodaka could not answer, so asked Yozora again. Yozora clearly chose 10 years ago. Kodaka then asked if the present time did not matter to her, which made Yozora feel confused. The next day, Yozora rewrote the film script. Sena said the script was good, Rika also liked it, and Yukimura described it as truly amazing. Since no one had any objections, Yozora decided to start filming right away. That day after school, the members of the neighbors' club were filming scenes for their movie. The shoot took place in a classroom, starting with the scene where Hirotaka arrives at school as a transfer student and meets Kuya for the first time. Once the classroom scenes were done, they moved on to the next part of the shoot in the schoolyard. Yozora took on the role of director, Rika handled the camera, and the others assisted with lighting. That afternoon, Rika informed Yozora that the sun was already setting, and they wouldn't be able to continue filming. Yozora then told everyone that the filming for the day was over, and they would pick it up again the next day after school. She reminded them not to be late because they were running out of time. The rest of the club reluctantly agreed, and Yozora encouraged them to stay motivated. The next day, Kodaka was on his way to the club room. There weren't any scenes that day for Kotaru, but he was still happy to help with lighting and other behind-the-scenes work. On the way, Kodaka noticed the exam results posted on the bulletin board. Sena had ranked first with a score of 895 out of a possible 900. Kodaka was surprised she had scored that high. Yozora had the highest score in their class and ranked 7th in their grade. While he was looking at the board, a girl nearby recognized Kodaka and casually referred to him as Sena's boyfriend. She went on to say that Sena was her rival. Curious, Kodaka asked who the girl was since he didn't recognize her. The girl called him rude just like Sena and then introduced herself as Aoi from class 2 to 3. She was the student council treasurer and also ranked 2nd in their grade. Kodaka realized that Aoi was in the same class as Sena. Kodaka commented that it was impressive how Aoi held both the 2nd highest grade and a student council position. However, Aoi accused him of being sarcastic since her scores had always been just below Sena's since last year. Kodaka admitted he didn't even know what Aoi's scores were the previous year, but he still genuinely thought she was impressive. It was just unfortunate she was competing against the wrong person. Aoi confessed that she really wanted to surpass Sena's grades. She explained that Sena had it all: beauty, perfect grades, athletic talent, a wealthy family, popularity, and now a boyfriend. To Aoi, it felt like Sena lived a completely charmed life. Kodaka clarified that he and Sena were not dating at all. Still, Aoi insisted there was something special between them since they called each other by their first names. She said that even the boys in her class referred to Sena as Miss Sena Kashiwazaki out of respect. What frustrated Aoi was that while she worked so hard, Sena ended up with a cool guy like Kodaka, and that made her feel jealous. Kodaka was caught off guard when Aoi called him cool. She explained that no matter how you looked at him, he came across that way. His dyed blonde hair made him look tough, and the way he cuffed his pants gave off a stylish vibe. She had noticed that a lot of cool guys looked a little rough around the edges. Kodaka felt oddly happy as it was the first time someone had ever said that to him. Aoi, still flustered, was surprised at the look on Kodaka's face. She added that not only was he cool, but he also had a good sense of humor, which made him a perfect match for Sena, though that fact really annoyed her. After saying her piece, Aoi walked away. Kodaka couldn't help but think he'd run into another strange person. When he arrived at the club room, only Sena was there. Yozora and Rika were out scouting locations for their next shoot. They wanted to find a spot by the ocean to film a sunset scene. Kodaka told Sena that he had just met Aoi. Sena, surprisingly, had no idea who Aoi was, even though they were classmates. Kodaka then described Aoi's appearance, and Sena vaguely recalled someone like that being in her class. Apparently, she only remembered the names of the people sitting next to and behind her. Sena remarked that Kodaka should not have gotten involved. She claimed there were only two kinds of girls in the world: those who were pretty and got along with her, and those she considered trashy and didn't bother remembering. She said there was no need to know the names of foolish girls. Kodaka pointed out that Aoi ranked just below her, but Sena didn't care about other people's grades and didn't even know where the exam results were posted. Kodaka figured that Sena probably never looked at the exam results announcement. According to her, it did not matter because she always believed she would be ranked first anyway. Kodaka asked how she studied, whether she took private lessons. Sena explained that all she did was listen to the lessons in class and do her homework. In fact, the study session they had together before the exam was the first time she had ever actually studied for a test, and she found it pretty fun. Then Sena asked Kodaka what was going on with Aoi, but Kodaka decided not to tell her. He realized that Sena was not particularly enthusiastic about things she found uninteresting, but when it came to things she liked, she got intensely serious, almost to a terrifying level. Even when it came to someone she disliked like Yozora, Sena went as far as collecting photos of her and keeping them in her room, almost like she was stalking her. Sena was both free-spirited and assertive. She did whatever she wanted as long as she felt like it. And she had this natural talent to do everything with ease, just like a real-life princess. No wonder other girls did not like her. Kodaka thought to himself that he was pretty lucky to be close to her. Not long after, Rika and Yozora came back to the club room. Rika said that they had found a good location. Yozora turned off the TV and told Sena to get ready to film. The scene they were shooting this time was the one where Hirotaka fought Kuya on the sand. Kodaka asked Rika if she was sure about using a playground as the set. Rika said she would edit it later with CGI to make it look like a beach. After the shoot wrapped up, Kodaka was about to head home when he ran into Pegasus. Pegasus greeted him and mentioned that the cultural festival had been fun. He said he had heard that the Negros Club was making a movie for it. Watching movies reminded him of how he used to take Kodaka's dad to the theater all the time. Then Pegasus asked how things were going between Kodaka and Sena. That left Kodaka confused, which made Pegasus laugh. Kodaka asked what kind of relationship he was referring to. Pegasus told him to stop pretending and said that, as far as he knew, Kodaka and Sena were dating. Kodaka explained that they were not in a relationship, which shocked Pegasus. After saying he had something to take care of, Pegasus quickly said goodbye, ran off, and yelled out loud, asking what all of that even meant. The next day, just as Kodaka arrived at the club room, Sena immediately pulled him aside, saying she needed to talk. She took him to the church and said that her father had assumed they were dating. Kodaka admitted he had been surprised when Pegasus asked him about that. He then asked Sena why Pegasus would even think that. Sena explained that the tickets to the amusement park back then were actually given to her by her father. After she got those tickets, she told her father that with them, she could make Kobato her little sister, which led to a misunderstanding. Kodaka still did not quite get it. Sena then explained that if she and Kodaka got married, Kobato would automatically become her sister. She said she had not really thought it through because she was too excited at the time. She remembered her father asking her a couple of questions like whether she wanted Kobato as a little sister, and if the two of them got along. Naturally, Sena answered that they got along great, thinking he was referring to her and Kodaka. Kodaka asked if she had explained everything to her father, and Sena nodded. Kodaka felt relieved that Pegasus now understood it was all just a misunderstanding, but he also felt a little bad for him because of it. Sena, however, said that the real issue was just beginning. She revealed that apparently the two of them were already engaged. In fact, their fathers had arranged it when they were kids. It was basically an arranged marriage. There was even a contract signed with their thumbprints. The prints were tiny and looked kind of cute. Kodaka was surprised that it had gone that far. He admitted that he had no memory of any of it, and neither did Sena. Then she showed him a photo of them as kids playing together, proving that they had indeed met once when they were little. Kodaka suggested they talk seriously about the whole marriage thing. He believed they did not need to worry about a contract that had been made without their consent. Sena agreed, saying it was just something their dads had randomly decided on without asking them first. Kodaka figured that his father had probably forgotten about the whole thing, so he suggested to Sena that they just let it go. That response, however, left Sena feeling a bit disappointed. She said she would still consider Kobato her little sister even without marrying Kodaka. Kodaka then suggested they head back to the club room. When they returned to the club room, Yozora looked irritated because they had taken so long. She asked what they had been up to. Sena replied that it wasn't anything important and said they should start filming. Yozora mentioned that they would be filming outside on the field. Not long after, Maria burst in and gave Kodaka a big hug, clearly excited that they would be filming together again that day. Suddenly, Kodaka remembered what Kate had said before, how he already belonged to Sena. He still didn't understand what she meant by that. Then, out of nowhere, Maria said her older sister had told her that Kodaka and Sena were getting married. Both Kodaka and Sena were shocked. Maria clarified that she meant they were engaged, adding that since Kodaka was already an adult, it made sense. Yozora immediately asked what that was all about. With no other choice, Kodaka and Sena explained the situation. Yozora was stunned to learn that they had been engaged since childhood and had known each other for a long time. Kodaka explained that it didn't have anything to do with who they were now. Yozora then turned to Rika and asked which relationship she thought was deeper, childhood friends or an engagement. Rika answered that most people would probably say being engaged is more meaningful, especially considering that Kodaka and Sena have met as kids, which technically made them childhood friends too. Yozora admitted that made sense. Sena got frustrated with both Rika and Yozora's attitude. She insisted that their engagement had nothing to do with the present situation between her and Kodaka. In a moment of irritation, she smacked Yozora in the face, telling her to snap out of it and urging everyone to get on with filming. Then she stormed off to continue shooting the movie. Rika told Yozora that it was probably best not to dwell on the past or decisions made by their parents. She then went after Sena to help with the next scene. It was time to film the part where Kotaru tells Kuya that Hirotaka is in trouble. After that scene wrapped, Kodaka approached Rika to ask what she thought of the performance, but they both noticed that Yozora still looked down even after filming. Rika encouraged them to move on to the next scene. As the day drew to a close, Kodaka and the others wrapped up the day's filming. Later that day, Kodaka was walking home when Kate called out to him. Kodaka told her that she'd caused him a lot of problems. He ended up telling her everything. Kate apologized, saying it wasn't just her who knew about the engagement. Pegasus had apparently been telling everyone about it whenever he got the chance. So she figured most of the teachers and nurses probably already knew, and maybe even some students as well. Kodaka couldn't believe it. Kate suggested that Pegasus was probably just overly excited, and she finally understood why he had been acting so energetic lately. She also mentioned that she'd heard Kodaka and the others were making a film, and asked what it was about. She said she couldn't make sense of the explanation Maria had given her. Kodaka told her it was a story about how a transfer student experiences changes in their environment. He described it as something like The Sun Over the Hill, a classic Japanese coming-of-age movie which he really enjoyed. Kate encouraged him to watch it. Kodaka said maybe it could serve as a good reference and that he considered checking it out. That night, Kodaka watched the movie all the way through. He was stunned to realize that Yozora had copied the entire thing. That day, Yozora admitted she had plagiarized and her friends put her on trial for it. Rika looked furious and asked how Yozora could do something so foolish. Yozora assumed everyone else was too clueless to notice, so she thought she'd get away with it. Rika looked like she was about to lose it and nearly hit her, while Yukimura called Yozora an idiot. Yozora begged everyone to forgive her. Rika then asked what they were supposed to do next. Sena wasn't willing to cancel the film and start over with a new original script. But according to Rika, they didn't have enough time to create a brand new story. It turned out that Sena had secretly written her own version of the script just in case Yozora didn't deliver something decent. Yukimura complimented Sena, calling her amazing, and Maria praised her for being so well prepared. Sena then ordered Yozora to get on her knees and thank her. She also asked Yozora how it felt to get caught plagiarizing, especially since they'd be filming based on her script now. Yozora clearly looked annoyed, while Sena jumped around gleefully, calling her a useless animal. Sena told Yozora to make up for what she did by giving it her all in the movie. They started filming at an amusement park, where Yozora had to play the role of a witch. She was visibly annoyed about having to wear such a ridiculous outfit in public. Sena couldn't care less about Yozora's complaints and quickly ordered her to start the battle scene with Yukimura, who played a samurai. During the fight scene, Yozora suddenly grabbed Yukimura's body to attack her. Watching this, Rika got overly excited and yelled out that Yozora should defeat Yukimura and take her to bed, a comment that was clearly exaggerated and not appropriate, but played for absurd comedic effect. Sana then told Yozora to explode herself in the scene. Yozora was confused about how she was supposed to do that. Rika stepped in and told Sana the explosion would be added later with CGI. Later on, Yozora and Maria practiced their acting together while enjoying lunch. The script was titled The Legend of the Great Kashiwazaki Suina. Sana's version of the story included everything: school life, friendship, singing, magic, superpowers, samurais, robots, space wars, and even romance between male characters. Kodaka was surprised that Sana actually managed to cram it all in. After the shoot, Rika asked Kodaka to help her carry their film equipment back to the science lab. She apologized for the trouble. It was the first time Kodaka had ever walked down the hallway with her like that. Once they arrived at the lab, Kodaka said he hadn't been there since the day they first met. Rika pointed out it had been exactly 122 days since he last came, and even more precisely, 122 days, 8 hours, and 30 minutes. She then invited Kodaka into a room called Sex Sigma. Kodaka was impressed to see the door open with a card reader. Rika explained that she used to have a fingerprint scanner and voice recognition installed like a real secret base. Once inside, Kodaka was amazed by what the room looked like. Rika mentioned he was the first person she had ever let into that room. She seemed confused as to why his reaction was so calm, saying most guys would be thrilled to be allowed into a girl's personal space like that. Kodaka replied that the room was way too messy for what he imagined a girl's room would be. After dropping off the equipment, Kodaka encouraged Rika to finish her editing work. Before he left, Rika wanted to show him some of the visual effects she added to the video. She played a clip of the fight scene between Yukimura and Yozora. The footage now included superpower effects, shields, fire blazing from Yozora's body as the witch, and even flying and vanishing effects. Kodaka praised her work, saying she did an amazing job, and the compliment made Rika blush. When he asked if it was hard to create all those effects, Rika admitted it took a lot of effort. Kodaka apologized for giving her so much extra work, but Rika said even though it was tough, she genuinely enjoyed doing it. Rika had previously worked for game and film companies, but this was her first time doing something together with people her own age, and that made her really happy. Kodaka noticed the club's photo album, and Rika showed it to him while apologizing for secretly taking pictures of everyone. Kodaka called her a pervert, but Rika quickly asked him not to get the wrong idea. She reminded him that they had played Romancing Saga together before, and at that time she took pictures of all their friends as references for 3D models. Kodaka hadn't realized that Rika was actually serious about preparing that game for everyone. Feeling a bit embarrassed after being found out, Rika lowered her head. Kodaka then said goodbye and started to head out. Just before leaving, he quietly glanced back at Rika from the doorway. He remembered how she said she truly enjoyed playing a game together with others for the first time. In Kodaka's mind, out of all the club members, Rika might be the one who had worked the hardest to make friends. The next day was the school festival at Kobato's middle school, Chronica Academy. The school grounds were packed with food stalls, a maid cafe, and a bunch of other booths. Maria got excited when she saw a bear mascot. Apparently, it was her first time ever seeing a school festival, since her own schooling so far had only focused on studying. Kodaka and the others headed toward the audio-visual room to watch the movie made by Kobato's class, which was scheduled to start at 10 a.m., just 5 minutes away. Kodaka asked Sana where the audio-visual room was, but Sana looked confused and asked why he was asking her. Kodaka pointed out that she had gone to that school 2 years ago. It turned out that Sana didn't attend middle school at Chronica. She had gone to a public middle school near her house. Sana insisted that it wasn't the right time to be talking about that. They quickly made their way to the audio-visual room. When they arrived, the movie was just about to begin. The story followed Kobato, who played a beautiful princess living in a castle. Many men came to propose to her, but she couldn't decide on one. So she announced a challenge. Whoever could retrieve the legendary treasure guarded by a dragon at the edge of the world would win her hand in marriage. Kodaka guessed the story was inspired by the tale of Princess Kaguya. Sana was absolutely hooked on the film, while Maria ended up sleeping through most of it. In the final scene, Kobato flew off to the moon, leaving everyone behind. Kodaka thought it was actually better than the film their own club had made. When the movie ended, the entire audience clapped. Sana even shouted out how amazing Kobato was. After they left the audio-visual room, Yukimura told Kodaka that Kobato really was incredible. Rika pointed out that although newer films often relied on the latest special effects, using that retro style actually worked really well. Yozora mentioned that there was a lot they could take as inspiration for their own film. Sena gushed that Kobato was adorable and totally fit the role of a princess. Not long after, they overheard Kobato's classmates saying how cool she was and how the movie had managed to keep the audience completely focused. They said it was a great first-time performance, and if the film got more attention, the seats would definitely fill up. As soon as Kobato came out of the audio-visual room, Sena ran up to her and hugged her tightly. She said she had missed Kobato so much and called her adorable, a princess, and an angel. Kobato asked Sena to let go and was confused about why Sena was at her school. She had specifically told Kodaka not to come to the festival. One of Kobato's classmates, Miki, approached Kodaka and asked if Kobato wasn't amazing. Kodaka agreed and praised the film. Then she called out to Kobato, saying her big brother had just said their movie was really good. Kobato felt embarrassed and immediately ran back into the classroom. Kodaka apologized to Miki, explaining that Kobato had always been like that. He then asked if Kobato was actually that popular at school. Miki told him that Kobato wasn't just popular in her class, she got tons of fans all over the school. She added that many of them had tried hard to become friends with her, but Kobato didn't seem interested in them at all. Even though they had repeatedly said how much they liked her, she never took it seriously and would avoid them whenever they tried to get close. Mikey thought it was Kobato's shy and reserved nature that made people like her even more. After hearing that, Rika commented that Kodaka and Kobato were definitely siblings. They were a lot alike. Just then, Maria suddenly looked down and said that things weren't fun anymore. Even when they were in the neighbor's club room, she still looked gloomy. Suddenly, Kobato entered the club room and said she admired everyone's patience. As soon as Maria saw her, her mood completely changed. She lit up and shouted excitedly that she was going to defeat that vampire Kobato. Maria quickly ran up to her and got in her face. Kobato asked why Maria was always bothering her, though she didn't even get a chance to finish her sentence. Sena jumped in and suggested they film a scene that was really important to Kobato. It turned out that Kobato had gotten a role in their movie. Sena explained that they were going to reshoot a scene Kodaka had originally done and Kobato would be taking his place. Kodaka was shocked to find out that he had only been a stand-in. It was the perfect time to shoot since the sun was about to set. Even though Kobato and Maria were always at each other's throats, they both looked super cheerful. All the members of the Neighbors Club quickly headed to the filming location to shoot Kobato's scene. The day of the sports festival finally arrived. All the students gathered on the field for the opening ceremony. As the student council president, Hinata gave a speech to kick off the event. She encouraged everyone to give their best and show the results of all their training. That was the moment Kodaka realized that the student council president was a girl. After the ceremony, there was a short break before the activities began. Kodaka noticed Yozora sitting alone and decided to approach her. Yozora admitted that she wanted to go home already and felt like she should have just skipped the event. She said she didn't want to see that person early in the morning. The person Yozora meant was Hinata. Kodaka asked if she had some kind of problem with the student council president. Yozora told him that she had never even spoken to Hinata before, but she still hated her to death. She despised Hinata because she was so popular and had held the position of student council president for the past 2 years. Yozora said Hinata was incredibly athletic, the star of almost every sport, and no matter how busy she was, she never turned down anyone who needed help. Naturally, she was adored by all the underclassmen. It sounded like Hinata was a genuinely good person. But in Yozora's eyes, Hinata was the embodiment of true popularity. That was when she realized that Sena was nothing in comparison and just looked like a fool. Yozora believed the crown of popularity should have been hers instead. She thought the most fitting nickname for Hinata was King Lear, a reference to the term Ria-ju, meaning someone who's successful in real life, combined with one of Shakespeare's 4 great tragedies. There was a tragic story about the downfall of a king caused by a bad decision, where almost every character ended up dead. Yozora felt like the name reflected her hope that Hinata's life would also end in tragedy. Talking about Hinata made Yozora feel sick, and she said she wanted to go lie down in the student infirmary. Kodaka understood clearly then, Yozora really hated popular people. At that moment, Kodaka noticed Rika up on the rooftop and decided to go after her. When he got there, Rika asked why he had come up, but instead Kodaka turned the question back to her and asked why she was there alone. Rika said she was just getting some fresh air. Kodaka was surprised by what she was wearing. Rika had assumed everyone would be dressed in matching outfits, so she had put on a super revealing gym outfit. Kodaka asked why she hadn't joined the opening ceremony. It turned out she had some unfinished work to do. But even if she didn't, she still wouldn't have gone to the ceremony anyway. Kodaka asked if she had stayed up all night again. Rika was shocked he noticed and said she should have worn her fake glasses to cover it up. Kodaka thanked her for all the hard work she had been doing. As soon as he said that, Rika's face turned bright red and she got really flustered. Meanwhile, a race was going on down the field. Using her binoculars, Rika watched Sana compete. She expected Sana to be great at everything, and Kodaka agreed. Sana really was. Then Rika asked how Kodaka felt about Sana. Kodaka said his feelings were nothing special. Sana was just a fellow club member. Rika pressed further, asking if that was really all there was to it, even though the two of them were already engaged. She didn't think Sana felt that way at all. Suddenly, Rika said she didn't like feeling lonely, but at the same time, she was scared of anyone showing affection toward Kodaka. Kodaka pretended not to notice, acted like he didn't hear her, avoided the question, shut himself off, and rejected the idea. According to Rika, Kodaka truly believed that no one could ever have feelings for him. Hearing that, Kodaka assumed she was talking about Kobato. Rika said that if Kodaka wanted, she could keep acting the way she always did, but she also thought maybe it was time to move forward. Before she could finish her sentence, Kodaka asked her to stop talking and quickly left. Just before he walked away, Rika said something else, but her voice was drowned out by a sudden gust of wind. Kodaka asked what she had said, but Rika refused to repeat it. Even though he acted like he didn't hear her, Kodaka already knew what those words were. He had known them for a long time. Kodaka arrived at the neighbor's club room with Kobato and asked where Rika was. Apparently, she had not shown up yet. Kodaka wondered if that meant the movie was still not finished. Yozora mentioned that Rika had messaged her the night before saying she would show something amazing that morning. Kodaka guessed Rika might have spent the whole night editing the film. He immediately left and went to the Sex Sigma room. He knocked on the door and called out to Rika, but there was no response. To his surprise, the door was unlocked, so he stepped inside. That was when he found Rika lying unconscious on the floor. He quickly rushed to help her. Later, Kodaka explained the situation to the others, saying it looked like Rika just had a regular fever. Yozora commented that maybe they had relied too much on Rika. She told the others they should discuss that later because right now they needed to cancel the screening. According to her, they could not show an unfinished movie, and besides, it would not mean anything unless the club members were the first ones to see it. The club members then replaced their event pamphlet with a cancellation notice. While Kodaka was putting up the new notice on the bulletin board, Aoi suddenly shouted at him, telling him not to carelessly remove someone else's flyer. But as soon as Kodaka turned around, Aoi realized who it was. Kodaka explained that he was only replacing his own club's poster because their event had been cancelled. Aoi quickly apologized and said that someone like Kodaka would never do anything shady. Kodaka told her he was flattered by the compliment, since usually people would run off before he could even explain himself. She said Kodaka was honestly the perfect guy, popular, good-looking, and someone who totally deserved to be Sana's boyfriend. Kodaka responded that he was not Sana's boyfriend, they were just clubmates. Aoi said this was her first time hearing about the neighbor's club and was curious about what kind of club it was. Kodaka replied that he was in a hurry, and Aoi apologized for holding him up. Kodaka then headed to the student infirmary to check on Rika. By then, she was already awake. She said she was ready to be pampered a little. Kodaka told her their movie screening had been canceled. Rika was disappointed since it was so close to being finished. Kodaka said it would not have mattered if she collapsed again. Rika asked if they could still show the movie even if it was only 95% complete. Kodaka told her they could not do that since it would not be meaningful unless the 7 of them were the first ones to see it, just like Yozora wanted. Rika was surprised to hear that was what Yozora said. Kodaka admitted that the rest of them were also surprised and moved by it. Rika got emotional and hid under the blanket. Then, trying to lighten the mood, Rika jokingly said if Kodaka ever wanted to do something inappropriate, he might as well do it right then. Kodaka looked confused and asked what she would do if he actually went through with it. Rika confidently said he would never do anything like that. She asked him instead to read her a book until she fell asleep. The book she handed him turned out to be a novel about romance between boys. Rika begged him, saying it was exactly what she needed at that moment. Kodaka finally gave in and called her way too pervy. The moment he opened the book, he was shocked by the risque illustrations. Rika thanked him and asked him to read from a page she had bookmarked. Kodaka started reading it out loud in a slow voice because he was embarrassed by all the suggestive lines. Rika told him to read it properly, with more emotion and a louder voice. At one point, Kodaka came across the phrase "yaw hole" and asked what that meant. Rika was surprised he did not know, considering he was a guy. Kodaka explained that such a thing did not actually exist, which completely stunned Rika. She admitted she had never seen a real male body before and had never had a friend who could explain stuff like that to her. Rika asked if Kodaka really didn't have that kind of opening and even said she wanted to see his body. Kodaka immediately smacked her on the head with a book and told her to go to sleep because he was about to leave. Before heading out, you mentioned that they could talk about silly stuff like that because of the neighbors' club, and Rika nodded in agreement. The next day, Rika texted Kodaka saying she had finished editing her movie and asked him to come to the club room as soon as possible. Once everyone had gathered, Rika apologized to her friends for causing so much trouble during the school festival. Yozora said she didn't mind. Yukimura even told Rika not to worry about it. Sana urged her to just go ahead and show the film, and Maria and Kobato could barely contain their excitement to watch it. Everyone was impressed right from the opening scene. The CGI effects looked amazing and made each moment feel incredibly realistic. Just like that, the Neighbors Club's cultural festival came to a close. Not long after, Aoi suddenly walked into the club room. She flung the door open and shouted at them to stop. Everyone was caught off guard by Aoi's sudden appearance. At the time, Sana was happily playing a game by herself. Aoi stormed over to her with an angry look on her face. Sana looked confused and asked the others who the girl walking up to her was. Aoi introduced herself and said she was in the same class as Sena, but Sana honestly had no idea who she was. Aoi pointed out that they had talked a few times in class, but Sana didn't even remember that. Kodaka asked what brought Aoi to their club room. Aoi climbed up onto a chair and started questioning what kind of club it was and why all they ever did was goof around. Yozora explained that they just happened to be taking a break at the moment, but Aoi didn't buy it. She admitted that she had been keeping an eye on their club for a while now. She said she'd been watching them because she was curious about the kind of clubs Sana was involved in. Yozora asked what the problem was with them hanging out and playing games in their club room. She pointed out that every club had its own purpose and Aoi had no right to criticize what they were doing. Aoi replied that she was a member of the student council and it was her duty to make sure students follow the rules. Kodaka whispered to Yozora that Aoi saw Sana as her rival. Yozora responded by saying the Neighbors Club was officially approved by the school and that they were working toward the mission outlined for them: to become good friends with all the students in school under the guidance of God and to wholeheartedly adapt to different situations to build character. In other words, what looked like playing around was actually part of the Neighbors Club's activities. Yozora added that reading books and playing games were all ways for them to become better friends and be someone who could connect with others. She was also sure that Aoi wanted the same thing: a friend who was smart, fun to be around, and dependable. According to Yozora, every member of the Neighbors Club was working toward being that kind of friend. Aoi agreed that having a friend like that would make life more meaningful. However, she said that what she saw happening in that room looked completely different from what Yozora described. Yozora responded by saying that was just Aoi's opinion and asked whether the student council had the right to judge a club as bad based solely on personal opinion. Aoi then pointed out that Yukimura and Rika's outfits violated the school dress code. She referenced the school handbook, section 5, which stated that students must wear their uniforms when entering, exiting, and while at school. Yozora countered by telling her to look again at section 5, paragraph 4, which outlined exceptions to the uniform policy, specifically that the rule did not apply during club activities. Aoi once again denied that the rule should apply only to team uniforms and sportswear. Yozora then suggested that Aoi should revise the school regulations to make them clearer. Kobato said that human laws could not restrain her. Kodaka pointed out that this was because Kobato was still in middle school. Hearing that, Aoi scolded him, questioning why a middle schooler was in the club room. She also emphasized that only students enrolled at the school were allowed on campus. Naturally, Kobato became frightened after hearing that. Yozora admitted that Aoi had a point, but she questioned whether middle school students from the St. Chronica Academy were really not allowed on school grounds. She added that it felt strange to treat a club member's younger sister as an outsider, especially since their club room was in an area of the school that was open to the public. On top of that, she argued that there was nothing wrong with considering Kodaka's little sister an unofficial member of the club. Kobato finally felt relieved after hearing Yozora's explanation. Aoi felt cornered and left the room in tears. Still annoyed, Yozora called her a student council dog. She said talking to someone she didn't know had made her nervous. Not long after, Aoi returned to the Neighbors Club room and said she had found the reason why the club wasn't officially recognized. She cited paragraph 2 from the regulation on school hours. Any class or activity space without supervision is not allowed, which meant the real issue was the club advisor. Aoi then brought up club rule number 17, which stated an advisor must be a currently active teacher or another staff member. Yozora argued that paragraph 2 allowed his sister to serve as an advisor, but Aoi claimed that Maria was not a registered sister at the school. Only her older sister, Kate, appeared on the official roster. In other words, Maria was just a young girl who hung around the church and wasn't officially recognized. Yozora countered that their club form had already been approved. However, Aoi insisted that it had simply been an administrative error. Kodaka quickly called Kate to ask if Maria was his sister. Kate explained that Maria wasn't one, she was just helping out while learning about social life in the community. Kodaka then asked why Maria called herself a sister. Kate replied that Maria was just making things up, and she wore the sister's habit because it looked cute on her. Kodaka informed the rest of the group that Maria wasn't a real sister. Aoi said that without a proper advisor, the neighbor's club was unofficial and had to be disbanded, just like other meaningless clubs. Suddenly, Sena spoke up and said it wouldn't be a problem if Maria became the official advisor. She quickly left the club room to make a call. Meanwhile, Kodaka offered Aoi a cup of coffee. Just as she was about to take a sip, Sena returned to the room and announced that Maria had been approved to serve as a special trainee, essentially making her a sister. It turned out that Sena had called her father to ask about it. Maria was shocked to learn that she had actually become a real sister. Sena called her father again to finalize the paperwork, and her father agreed. She mentioned it was the principal's decision, but Aoi still refused to accept it and kept arguing. Sena looked annoyed and called Aoi a stray dog. She wasn't afraid to threaten to dismantle the student council if they dared to disband the friendship club. Sena also told Aoi to be grateful because she had chosen a supervisor rather than ruining her own reputation. Despite this, Aoi still wouldn't back down. Sena firmly stated that the club belonged to her, and if Aoi kept barking on her territory, she would crush her like an insect. Sena even asked if Aoi wanted to be expelled from school because she was ready to make it happen. Aoi's expression suddenly turned fearful. She apologized to everyone and quickly left the clubroom. Yozora commented that a rich girl was abusing her power to push away anyone standing in her way, but at the same time, she saw Sena as someone really scary. Sena said all the issues were now settled and that she couldn't wait to get back to playing her game. Rika asked if Sena kicked Aoi out just so she could play her game sooner and treated her that way. Sena admitted it was true. Rika pointed out that Sena only cared about things that mattered to her. According to Sena, she didn't care about anyone who got in her way as long as she could remove them with her power. Anyone who dared to oppose her would be dealt with thoroughly. Kodaka actually felt sorry for Aoi, but with Sena and Yozora around, the friendship club would remain peaceful no matter who stood in their way. Sena then told Kodaka that her father had brought him up during their phone call and suggested that Kodaka should just marry her. Everyone was shocked to hear this. Sena said she had already thought about it. They had even talked about it before. They didn't have to worry about the promises between their parents. But Sena thought that promise was the only one not worth caring about because once they knew they were engaged, it felt like they'd never be able to get married. She admitted the engagement wasn't really important, but it seemed like she did want to marry Kodaka, especially since she also loved him. Kodaka was surprised by what Sena said. Sena scolded him for making her lose in the game. She suddenly realized that she had just said all that out loud. Then she smiled and said it didn't matter because sooner or later she was definitely going to tell Kodaka how she really felt. Sena admitted that those were basically her true feelings. Kodaka pretended to say that the game sound was too loud, so he hadn't heard what Sena just said. He quickly left the clubroom to avoid talking with her. Kodaka bumped into Aoi, who was carrying 2 big boxes while walking down the hallway. Aoi didn't see Kodaka in front of her and accidentally almost ran into him. She kept walking, but the things she was carrying nearly fell. Luckily, Kodaka helped her catch them. Aoi thanked him and was about to leave, but Kodaka insisted on helping because he thought it was really dangerous for her to carry 2 boxes at once. He took one of the boxes and Aoi thanked him again while apologizing for the trouble. Kodaka told her not to push herself since the boxes were pretty heavy. Aoi explained that the student council work wasn't finished yet because she had been absent for a whole week. Kodaka asked why Aoi was so determined to disband the friendship club. Aoi said that talented people should do things that match their abilities, and she thought it was a waste for Sena to spend time in the friendship club. Kodaka understood that Aoi actually wanted to disband the club for Sena's sake. He admitted that Sena could easily join any club, and even Yozora and Rika were smart students, while Yukimura and Kobata were quite popular. Kodaka agreed that based on what Aoi said, there was no real reason to keep the friendship club going. Aoi then revealed that Sena had everything she wanted, but Aoi actually wanted to see her suffer because she was very jealous of Sena. Kodaka pointed out that there was one thing Sena didn't have: friends. Aoi was so surprised by this that she almost dropped the boxes again, but then she laughed because she believed that there was no one in the world without friends. She thanked Kodaka for cheering her up with his joke and called him a good person. When they got to the storage room, Aoi thanked Kodaka again for helping. Kodaka offered to carry the rest of the boxes, but Aoi didn't want to trouble him. Kodaka felt responsible since Aoi missed her duties last week because of the friendship club and there hadn't been any club activities scheduled, so he had free time anyway. While they were halfway through the work, Hinata suddenly showed up and praised them. She had heard someone was helping Aoi and wanted to thank them in person. Kodaka introduced himself and Hinata was surprised to hear his name. Aoi asked if Hinata knew Kodaka, but it turned out she didn't. She was just being playful earlier. Hinata introduced herself and greeted Kodaka. The three of them continued working together. Hinata asked why Kodaka was helping Aoi and whether Kodaka was Aoi's boyfriend. Aoi denied it and said Kodaka already had a girlfriend, but Kodaka said he didn't have one. Aoi then asked if Kodaka had no interest in dating any of the friendship club members. Kodaka said his view of his friends in the club wasn't like that. That matched Aoi's guess. She said Kodaka was the only guy in the friendship club, so if he dated one of the girls, it would probably feel awkward for the others. Hinata then asked if Kodaka wasn't Aoi's boyfriend, then who was he really? Aoi described Kodaka as a good guy who always helped people in need. Hearing that, Hinata praised him and encouraged Kodaka to keep up that kindness. After they finished all the work, Aoi thanked Kodaka again and Kodaka quickly said goodbye. Before he left, Hinata told him she quite liked him and suggested he join the student council because there was a position open for a while and they were looking for someone to fill it. Aoi agreed with the idea, especially since all the current student council members were girls and they obviously needed help from a guy and she thought Kodaka was the perfect fit. Kodaka asked if they hadn't considered how other people might feel about him. Aoi described Kodaka as a cool guy who was popular and had a rough, delinquent-like appearance. Hearing this, Kodaka thanked her because she was the only one who saw him that way. Unfortunately, others judged him based solely on his looks and treated him like a real troublemaker, mainly because of his hair color and facial features. Hinata admitted that Kodaka's hair did give him that delinquent vibe. Kodaka remarked that if he joined the student council, it might ruin their reputation. However, Hinata said only fools judge people by appearances alone and she didn't care about the reputation if that was all people focused on. She then asked if Kodaka would be willing to join the student council. Kodaka thought the responsibilities might be too much for him but was willing to help if there was any heavy work. Hinata agreed and asked if Kodaka could help the next day because the librarians had requested assistance. From there, things moved quickly. Kodaka started helping the student council every day. He thought the council president had helped guide the delinquents onto the right path, which actually improved his own reputation, although Kodaka's personal reputation didn't really change at all. Since then, Kodaka had returned to the friendship club room. His feelings for the club hadn't changed, but he couldn't go back after running away before. Yukimura ran into Kodaka while he was helping the student council. Yukimura said she had heard rumors that Kodaka had become a servant to a group of cowards, and she came to save him. Aoi called Yukimura's words very rude because she believed Kodaka helped the student council with genuine sincerity. Yukimura asked if that was true, and if so, she wanted to help too. Aoi refused and said Yukimura was the type of person who tried to poison others. Then Aoi asked why Yukimura was wearing a boy's uniform. Yukimura explained that she wanted to become a real man, a truly amazing man. Aoi pointed out that Yukimura was a girl. Yukimura responded that a real man isn't defined by gender. Aoi didn't understand and called her weird. Feeling annoyed, Yukimura asked Kodaka if she could get rid of Aoi, but Kodaka stopped her and told Aoi to leave first because he wanted to talk to Yukimura. Kodaka asked how the friendship club was doing. Yukimura said Seina still came often to play gal games while Yozora and Rika hadn't been seen recently. Maria sometimes came to eat snacks. At that moment, only Sena and Yukimura were active in the club. Kodaka felt he needed to do something. Yukimura wanted to help Kodaka, but he declined and she said goodbye. Before leaving, Kodaka asked why Yukimura was still loyal to him. Yukimura answered that she was still his subordinate. Kodaka wondered why she remained his subordinate, knowing full well he wasn't the real man she dreamed of, but just a pathetic guy. He thought there was no reason to keep being loyal. Yukimura asked if a reason was really needed, saying she stayed by Kodaka's side because that's what she wanted. Kodaka then asked what Yukimura would do if the friendship club was disbanded. Yukimura said nothing would change. She would keep serving Kodaka. Kodaka told her she was cool and even felt unworthy of being her boss. Yukimura was touched and felt regretful that she still couldn't be a real man. Kodaka's words made her heart beat faster. Then she joked that once she became a real man, she would tease Kodaka in a way only close friends might joke about, referencing their close bond. Kodaka was surprised by what Yukimura said. He thought Yukimura was really pathetic and insisted that there was no such thing as a yacht hole at all. However, Yukimura claimed that Rika had once told him about it. Suddenly, Rika sent a message to Kodaka, asking him to come to the rooftop immediately. She warned that if Kodaka didn't arrive within 3 minutes, she would play a secret recording of him reading a BL, Boys Love, novel aloud through a loudspeaker. Kodaka quickly got up and told Yukimura to take the papers he had brought to the student council room. When Kodaka reached the rooftop, he found Rika waiting. She mentioned that she had been waiting for him for 3 minutes and 26 seconds, which she still considered an appropriate amount of time. Kodaka said that Rika didn't actually have any recording. Unexpectedly, Rika played a short part of the recording, which made Kodaka visibly annoyed. He asked what she really wanted. Rika replied that she just wanted to get rid of the pathetic bully who ran away from the friendship club, even though she used to mutter about how much she loved the club. Kodaka apologized. Rika asked if Kodaka admitted it, and Kodaka said that she was one of the few people he couldn't lie to. He even told her to hit him or do whatever she wanted. Then Rika took out 3 small balls, devices that could be controlled by the brain called 9 Lives Breakers. She said she took the name from the signature magic of the Iron Necromancer. Rika demonstrated how the devices worked by shouting for the ball to destroy Kodaka's soul along with his body. The device hit Kodaka's chest, causing him pain. Rika explained that if she had thrown the device with full power, it wouldn't have hurt so lightly. She asked Kodaka if he thought his mistakes could be forgiven with just a light hit. She admitted she was angry and wanted to get rid of Kodaka's cowardly nature. Rika attacked Kodaka again with the device, but he managed to dodge it. She understood that the expression of love happened when Kodaka was off guard, but she was furious about what he did afterward. The devices kept chasing Kodaka as he tried to run away. Rika was frustrated not only because Kodaka hadn't come to the club room for a whole week, but also because she saw him getting close to a girl who tried to destroy the friendship club. Kodaka admitted he wasn't getting close to Aoi, which surprised Rika because Kodaka used her real name and obediently followed the student council president's orders like a trained dog, letting himself be controlled by her charm. Kodaka said Rika was misunderstanding the situation. He explained that he helped Hina not because of her looks, and he wasn't attracted to her appearance, but because he genuinely liked her personality. Hearing that, Rika became even angrier. Kodaka clarified that what he meant wasn't romantic love but respect for her as a person and fellow student. Rika was convinced that Kodaka must have had some indecent experience with the student council president. Kodaka asked how she knew, which only made Rika more certain and angrier. Kodaka was hit by the device multiple times and seemed unable to withstand it any longer. He realized the antenna for the brainwave control was in the cat ear headband. He tried to get closer to Rika to take it, but she quickly blocked him with the small balls again. Rika revealed that she had asked Sana when she started falling for Kodaka and found out it began when Kodaka saved her from a group of boys at the pool. She also knew Kodaka stayed over at Sana's house, and that feeling gradually grew over time. Eventually, it turned out that Kodaka was both Sana's fiancé and childhood friend. Rika was puzzled about what sneaky tactics Sana had used because, thanks to those events, Yozora lost her motivation. Kodaka said there was nothing he could do about it since those 10-year-old memories meant a lot to Yozora and had been her source of strength all this time. Kodaka said that the human heart is too complicated to analyze. Rika grew increasingly annoyed and kept attacking Kodaka, while he continued walking closer to her. Rika also accused Kodaka of planting flags on every girl he met, acting like the main character in a romantic comedy harem, trying to win over all the well-behaved girls. Kodaka replied that if it were really possible, he would have done it already to get all the girls and achieve a happy ending. However, he was not the main character, and he couldn't do things beyond his ability. He admitted that he acted the way he did simply because he didn't know what else to do. This was the first time he had ever felt like this, and to him, the club was a miracle, a place where he could be himself without worrying about anyone else. Because of that, he didn't want to ruin everything. Rika kept criticizing him, saying that it was pointless if Kodaka didn't actually act like himself, but instead just watched and pretended to be clueless. Then when things went wrong, he ran away. So what was the point of protecting something if even Kodaka himself wasn't really there? She said no one needed Kodaka with his arrogant and insensitive attitude. Kodaka got upset and told Rika she had no right to say that, especially since she was trying to do things on her own. He didn't know how to respond to her, and at that moment, Rika acted like she was being tough for everyone's sake. Kodaka then asked what she really wanted. Rika admitted that she just wanted friends. Kodaka gently removed her cat headband, but unexpectedly, all the little balls attached to it started attacking him. Rika apologized for lying about the brainwave control device, explaining that it was actually just a toy that reacted to brainwaves. When Kodaka finally calmed down, the little balls dropped. Rika told him that he could rely on her if there was something he couldn't do. Kodaka then asked if she wanted to be his friend. Rika said that she and all the other club members were already friends. The two of them laughed together. Kodaka thought that the whole situation reminded him of something from 10 years ago. Unfortunately, the strong and amazing little Taka was no longer there, and all that remained was Kodaka, weak and pathetic. He then went to the club room to see Sana. Before he could say anything, suddenly all the club members received a message from Yozora. She informed them that she was going on a journey and asked them not to look for her. Everyone was shocked. Kodaka guessed that the story of the unlucky friendship club members still wasn't over.